Chapter 2288. The eighth origin was betting everything on this battle, vowing to prove its dignity as a source rank combatant. The sixth, seventh, and ninth origin stepped forward with serious expressions on their faces. No matter who their opponent was, anyone who received such treatment from the eighth origin could not be underestimated. They had to give them face, otherwise it would be blasphemy against the eighth origin. The evil spirit army pressed forward, cheering on the eighth origin in a magnificent display of power. At this moment, the eighth origin's entire body was emanating a terrifying evil energy, and a majestic shadow flickered behind it, stirring up the winds and clouds. The ground around it trembled, the rivers flowed in reverse, the oceans roared, and beasts rampaged. Kacha, kacha, kacha! Suddenly, barbs grew out of the eighth origin's body. They were as hard as steel and glowed with an evil light. His body was as large as a mountain. This was the origin mutation. Ha ha! The eighth origin mutation. It looks like he's really taking Yi Chen seriously this time. That's right. The power of the origin mutation can increase one's strength by 100-fold. There's no way Yi Chen is a match for the eighth origin. With the support of the origin mutation, the gap between their cultivation bases has become an insurmountable chasm. That's why Yi Chen will definitely lose. The three great origins evaluated the eighth origin's current strength, which far surpassed Yi Chen's. Seeing this, the exploding demon monarch's heart was filled with sorrow. As expected, he was at a disadvantage against Yi Chen, and in front of the evil energy, he was not even worth mentioning. The same thing was happening in the magic martial army. Many combatants and warriors lowered their heads and sighed. They had no status here, not even comparable to Yi Chen. At the very least, Yi Chen was treated seriously by the eighth origin and had unleashed the power of the origin mutation. As for them, they could only kneel on the ground and wait to be dealt with. Phew! Yi Chen let out a long sigh as he faced the eighth origin's origin anomaly. Streams of ancient divine energy began to swirl around his body as Yi Chen's 8 extraordinary meridian channels began to fill up. Yi Chen's physical strength began to rise. Ha ha! At this moment, the eighth origin laughed heartily and charged toward Yi Chen. Thump, thump, thump. With every step he took, the earth trembled violently. Countless cracks appeared on the path he took. Following that, rocks shattered and energy poured out in torrents. The power of the impact was unparalleled. Mutation rushing punch, rend, boom. A huge fist light appeared in front of him. It was like a black heavenly pillar, like a black flood dragon, like the water of the entire ocean rushing towards him. It was unstoppable. Even a celestial immortal would tremble at the sight of such a terrifying power. Dragon Chi Shield, 9 Skandha's Blessing. Hoo. Suddenly, Yi Chen raised both of his arms high. 9 dragons roared in unison, and the image of the dragons converged above his head. A coiling dragon energy shield appeared above his head. With the support of the 9 Skandhas, Yi Chen's power was 81 times stronger. ZZZ. The dragon aura shield took shape in an instant. The dragon aura vortex took the form of a coiling dragon and collided with the mutated rushing fist. At that moment, the dark light rushed in all directions. In that moment, there was only the light of the impact and the explosion. No one could see clearly who had the upper hand. All the experts unconsciously retreated. Their protective energy shields were shattered one by one. It was as if the world was being recreated and the sun and moon gathered again. Boom, boom, boom. Then, the wilderness within a radius of 100 miles shattered. It was unknown how many fell energy warriors and demon warrior CU's attack were. Howls of pain could be heard as the 3 sources unleashed their power, retreating 150 kilometers with the Dark Spirit Legion. Seeing this, the exploding demon monarch flew into the air and unleashed his ultimate power. The enormous mothership began to move, carrying the rest of the Red Devil Legion away. In the face of danger, the Dark Spirit Legion had decisively abandoned the Red Devil Legion, which exploding demon monarch couldn't take to heart. Working with them really was suicidal. However, he had no choice but to wait for reinforcement from the demon martial world. In the central arena, the scene of the battle reappeared. Everyone could see two enormous figures locked in a stalemate. On one side was the six-armed mutant of the 8th origin, and on the other side was an equally enormous primordial demon ape. Roar! The demon ape let out an earth-shattering roar as astral winds swirled around it, transforming into blades that slashed at the 8th origin. Crack, crack, crack! Soon, the barbs on the 8th origin were unable to withstand the astral winds and began to fall off. The 8th origin was furious. The barbs on its body grew even more, and then they began to glow with an evil light. The evil light converged into a divine ability of slaughter, which shot toward the primordial demon ape. You're dead. The 8th origin used all 6 of its arms to control the primordial demon ape's body, essentially trapping it in place and giving it no way to escape. The evil power of slaughter gradually took shape, transforming into a sure-kill divine ability. You're looking down on me. The primordial demon ape growled, then opened its mouth and roared like a heavenly dragon. Heavenly dragons roar. Roar! The primordial demon ape's mouth unleashed an infinitely powerful wave of energy. All of the power it had absorbed from the ancient god space was finally unleashed. Boom, boom, boom. The heavenly dragon's roar left a series of shockwaves and explosions in its wake. Then, the evil light of slaughter was shattered by the heavenly dragon's roar. What? The 8th origin was shocked. Its sure-kill attack had been blocked by Yi Chun. Just how strong was this person? He was still fighting Yi Chun at the level of a heavenly immortal, and yet he still couldn't kill him. Could it be that Yi Chun was even stronger than a heavenly immortal? Good. Very good. Ha ha. The 8th origin laughed heartily as all of the energy in its body began to converge toward its mouth. If he were to use the same move against Yi Chun, he would use his super powerful foundation to crush Yi Chun. Bzzzzz. Countless streams of energy converged into a glowing sphere of evil power, which then took shape in the 8th origin's mouth. In the center of the sphere of light, destructive evil electricity could be seen, which rapidly grew. At first glance, it was as if one had fallen into a bottomless abyss. Such explosive power didn't require any divine abilities or secret magics to support it. This was the true power of a powerful expert. Ha ha, the 7th origin said confidently. Yi Chun's dead this time. With the power of 6 arms locked onto him, there's no way he can escape. If it's a battle of foundation, the 8th origin won't lose. The 9th origin said with a cold laugh. Yi Chun's going to be played to death by the 8th origin. As for the ecstasy demon monarch, he was feeling very conflicted. Originally, he had planned to defeat Yi Chun, but now, Yi Chun was going to be killed by the 8th origin. The result would be the same, but the meaning would be completely different. Chapter 2289. Yi Chun smiled coldly in the face of the 8th origin's ultimate battle of foundation. The demonic ape's sharp teeth rattled like stars in the night sky. Then, the corners of his mouth curled up, and his eyes shone with a bloody light as he began to gather energy in his mouth. You're not running? The 8th origin said to Yi Chun through evil voice transmission. You want to compete with me in terms of foundation? I'll grant you your wish and let you die in peace. The demonic ape laughed coldly. The combination of its deep voice and its strange smile caused the 8th origin's heart to tremble. He was wondering what Yi Chun had that would allow him to compete with him in terms of foundation. The 8th origin was a source dark spirit powerhouse, comparable to a half-step golden immortal in terms of human strength. Yi Chun, on the other hand, was just a puny mystic immortal. There was no way Yi Chun could defeat him in terms of foundation. But where did Yi Chun's absolute confidence come from? So what if he had divine power? With such a huge gap between their cultivation bases, any kind of power was useless. Yi Chun, don't even think about bluffing. If you want to die, then I'll grant you your wish. The eighth origin knew that it could not hesitate in the face of the evil spirits and the army of demon and martial arts. Otherwise, it would lose face. Eighth origin, kill him. Lord Eighth origin, kill him. Countless dark spirit combatants and warriors began to yell. They wanted to see Yi Chun crushed in front of their eyes. This was the majesty of an evil spirit. The exploding demon monarch's eyes were cold. Although he did not want the credit to go to the eighth origin, he still hoped to see Yi Chun die in front of him. That way, he could use the psyche victory technique to avenge his father. He was extremely disappointed with his performance. He had lost his dignity in this battle. All he wanted was Yi Chun to die. He did not care about anything else. Arg! The eighth origin roared and gathered all the energy in its body into its mouth. At this moment, its mouth was like an unstoppable volcano. Roar! The primordial demon ape unleashed its power at the same time. Under the connection of the ancient god space, boundless energy gathered in the giant ape's mouth like an unstoppable wave. The power of both sides began to erupt. This was a battle of life and death that could not be reversed. On the Golden Lotus mothership far above the void, the patriarch of hell, Yi Wu Shuang, the patriarch of the underworld, and the others were all worried about Yi Chen's situation. They could sense Yi Chen's situation through the heavenly Tao pagoda on the Golden Lotus mothership. At this moment, the heavenly Tao pagoda was incomparably bright. It was evident that Yi Chen's battle had reached a critical juncture. Everyone knew that Yi Chen was serious. For the great emperor to release such a powerful force, it can be seen that this battle is a battle of life and death. This, after all, the four major sources had descended at the same time. This situation was extremely disadvantageous even for Yi Chun. Initially, they had thought that as long as they left the evil spirit abyss with Yi Chen's strength, it would be very natural for him to leave. However, the information given by the Heavenly Law Pagoda was clearly wrong. On the battlefield, the primordial demonic ape, the source of the anomaly, both sides began to gather their power. This was a battle of life and death that no one would restrict. Source mutation, Berserk Torrent, kill. The eighth origin was the first to attack, unleashing a torrent of wretched power that would destroy anything and everything in its path. Eight heavenly dragons' music. Eight sounds converge. Boom, boom, boom. On Yi Chen's side, boundless energy converged, and the eight heavenly dragons' music was unleashed at the same time. Heaven and earth resonated, and the sun and moon were peerless. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Both sides' power clashed, and in the center of their collision, a massive ball of light appeared. This was the core of the battle, the explosion of energy. Both sides' power continuously destroyed each other, and then exploded. The ground around them floated up into the air, and rocks flew everywhere. The surrounding space had entered a state of weightlessness. The experts were shocked. They had thought that Yi Chun was dead for sure, and they had wanted to see his body smashed to pieces and his flesh and blood splattered everywhere. However, what they saw was that they were evenly matched. Who could accept this? Furthermore, the power of both sides had exceeded their imagination. No one could enter the battle zone to watch, or they would be smashed to pieces. How could Yi Chun be so powerful? Even the ninth origin was stunned. When he had fought Yi Chun before, he had not sensed that his power had reached this level. But now, he was in a stalemate with the eighth origin, which made no sense at all. The other experts and warriors were even more shocked. They didn't care what was happening. Although they knew that Yi Chun was powerful, their cultivation base and comprehension abilities were not enough for them to realize just how powerful Yi Chun was. The exploding demon monarch's eyes were as wide as saucers. He was like a child who had just been struck by a thunderstorm. Only now did he realize that the difference between his strength and Yi Chen's was like heaven and earth. If the evil spirit army had not appeared, and Yi Chun had gotten serious, the exploding demon monarch would have died without a doubt. Too powerful. He's much, much stronger than father said. He could not help but cry out. The army of demon and martial arts behind him was terrified. They all believed that if Yi Chen wanted to, he could use this kind of attack to wipe out their entire army. In the center of the battlefield, the two forces were still clashing against each other. This was a fundamental battle, and neither side would dodge. In fact, they couldn't dodge at all because they were entangled in a battle of life and death. No one could approach, lest they suffer the brunt of the impact. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Boundless energy was being depleted. This sort of fundamental battle was extremely taxing on cultivators. The eighth origin unleashed even more power in an attempt to suppress Yi Chen, but he was overthinking things. The primordial demon ape unleashed its power, and the power of the ancient god space rushed to assist Yi Chen, preventing him from falling behind. Most mystic immortals and the eighth origin would be reduced to dust in the blink of an eye, but Yi Chen was not at a disadvantage. Both sides were unleashing unfathomable amounts of power, enough to destroy a planet from a low-level realm. Mutant power, chaos, obliteration. Boom, boom, boom. The eighth origin was furious. How could it stand up against the evil spirit army if it could not defeat this opponent? Its power had increased by dozens of times, and it wanted to crush the person in front of it. 9 bolts of thunder god, heavenly law judgment. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Suddenly, the dragon's subduing spear appeared behind the primordial demon ape. 9 bolts of thunder god Dharma idol. With the support of the heaven Tao lightning, the eighth origin's excess power was instantly destroyed by the divine lightning judgment. The ninth origin trembled in fear. It was well aware of how powerful Yi Chen's attack was. It was a crushing suppression of laws. Chapter 2290. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Under the crushing pressure of the laws, the eighth source's chaos elemental obliteration had been completely suppressed. Yi Chen had paid the smallest price to suppress the eighth source's attack, which had a huge impact on both sides. The eighth source was starting to panic. It had expended a vast amount of energy in this attack, and yet it had been crushed by the laws. His confidence was beginning to waver. However, he knew that he couldn't show any weakness. Otherwise, the situation would only get worse. The devilish ape laughed coldly, mocking the eighth origin. What were you trying to hide before, eighth origin? Bastard, you're overthinking things. Is that so? If that's the case, then why don't you come kill me, lofty eighth source? You're courting death. The eighth source was even more enraged by Yi Chen's provocation. When the other 3 sources saw this, they grew anxious. The situation was still changing. Most people would not be able to see it, and would think that the eighth origin was still boundlessly powerful. However, the super powerhouses like them could see that Yi Chen had taken the initiative. Let me add some fuel to the fire. What? Even as the eighth source was shocked, the dragon restraining spear on Yi Chen's back began to spin. It was none other than the heavenly Tao's 9 revolutions lightning. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. The lightning transformed into a sharp blade that spun toward the eighth source. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. As soon as they made contact, the glowing sphere began to transform. Unable to stop the 9 revolutions lightning, the 9 revolutions lightning passed through the glowing sphere toward the eighth source. That's impossible. The eighth source's eyes went wide as it looked at the 9 revolutions lightning, which was like a blade of judgment, ready to judge all of its sins. Even the eighth source, in its extreme nervousness, couldn't deal with such pressure and terror. The tables had turned. The crushing power of the 9 revolutions lightning had become the eighth source's worst nightmare. Don't give up, old eighth. The 7th source roared. The 6th source's eyes turned cold. He now understood what kind of person Yi Chen was. In the center of the battlefield, the 8th source grimaced in pain. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. The godly 9 revolutions, lightning continued to approach, and a powerful pressure caused the ground to crack. Everyone's eyes flickered, and they were unable to clearly see what was happening. Apart from Yi Chen, nobody expected such a situation to happen. 8th origin, if this is how things end, then you've really disappointed me. Yi Chen had pursued martial arts all his life. What he needed today was an even stronger test to allow him to absorb the energy and divine abilities from the ancient god space. However, this was not enough, far from enough. This was the martial Tao path that the celestial arch had designed for himself. Ridiculous. Suddenly, a cold smile appeared on the eighth Origin's face, and a series of dorsal fins sprouted out of its back. Kakik. His laughter became extremely terrifying. It became so terrifying that it could seep into one's heart. It was the first time Yi Chen had experienced something like this. Ha ha ha, awesome. What? The eighth source had thought that it could intimidate Yi Chen, but what it saw was a very excited Yi Chen. Just who was this kid? Why was he so difficult to deal with and so unpredictable? Everyone was shocked. They could feel the terror coming from behind the eighth source. But not only was Yi Chen not intimidated, but he even increased his fighting spirit. Such a contrast was unbearable for the crowd. This guy's a monster. How terrifying. He can still have such an expression under these circumstances. He's not human. Countless combatants fell to their knees, unable to believe what they were seeing. Their worldview had collapsed. Not only had they been intimidated by the eighth source, but they had also been intimidated by Yi Chen. Their minds began to split, and they could not resist. Yi Chen, there's no use getting excited. You're about to witness the true power of the source. The eighth source lived up to his reputation as a super powerhouse. He quickly calmed down from the impact of Yi Chen's unusual actions. He wanted to end this battle once and for all, to let everyone know that source rank combatants would never lose, especially the explosive demon monarch, who had the power to make him submit to the evil spirit. Roar, roar, roar. Meanwhile, on the side of the evil spirit army, countless warriors had already begun to roar and cheer, intimidating the world of magic and martial arts army. The legs of the world of magic and martial arts army turned to jelly. They finally realized that whether it was Yi Chen or the evil spirits, they could not afford to provoke them. This so-called achievement by the explosive demon lord was a joke. They shook their heads and sank into despair. On the battlefield, the eighth source's dorsal fin flickered with an evil light. Following that, waves of powerful energy gathered above it. The power of mutation, 1,000 kills. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. As the light gathered above the eighth source's dorsal fin, Yi Chen immediately realized that the energy gathering this time was more than 10 times stronger than the chaos obliteration. How troublesome. Yi Chen's eyes turned cold. The demon ape's hair stood on end as black and gold glaze covered its body. It had achieved primordial dark adamantine. Roar. With a roar of the demon ape, the dark adamantine appeared. Fury of the adamantine. The primordial dark adamantine had been strengthened by the origin of darkness, suppressed by the majestic might of 1,000 kills, and combined with the Panga godhead, it had evolved. Behind the dark adamantine, the projection of Pangu appeared. Ha ha, eighth source, I really have to thank you. What do you mean? The eighth origin looked on in bewilderment, and had no idea what was happening. However, he could sense that the primordial devil ape was undergoing a fundamental transformation, and that the god power behind Yi Chen was even more terrifying. 3-star ancient god, 8 trigrams reversed. The 8 gates disc reappeared above the primordial dark adamantine's head, releasing the image of the 8 trigrams. The light of the 8 trigrams shone onto the demon ape's body. Then, the dark adamantine's entire body trembled, and an immense power formed an 8 trigrams wheel in front of it. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. The wheel continued to spin, and all of the 1,000 kills that had struck the 8 trigrams wheel were reflected back at it. The 8th source was completely stupefied. What was seeing was like a myth. No, the demon ape let out a terrified roar as the 1,000 kills failed to be reflected back. Instead, it struck the 8th source. Chapter 2291. Boom, boom, boom. The boundless power of 1,000 slayings slammed into the 8th origin. and the backlash wasn't just a simple return. Rather, it was an even more powerful response. Caught off guard, the eighth origin couldn't possibly defend against it. Its body exploded, its meridians redirected, and its muscles and bones shattered. The eighth origin was like a sieve as it was completely destroyed by Yi-Chun. Old eighth. The seventh origin stared in disbelief, as did the other Darksiders. The invincible eighth origin in their eyes had been defeated by their own divine abilities. What did this mean? BZZT. BZZT. The light of the 8 trigrams returned to Yi Chen's ancient god body as he stood alone in the air, completely intimidating and dominating. What was happening right now was something that only a god could do. The Dark Spirit Army and the Army of Demon and Martial Arts all acknowledged allegiance. In front of a 3-star ancient god, they were as weak as ants. Their minds were completely subdued, and they knelt in worship. A 3-star ancient god is unparalleled in heaven and earth. All of the kneeling Darksiders chanted the same slogan as they cowed out. The seventh origin was infuriated. "Rise!" he roared, sending shockwaves rippling out. Those who had been intimidated by the 3-star ancient god regained their senses, but their legs were still weak, and they couldn't stand. Demonic Tempest. The seventh origin unleashed a demonic tempest, cleansing the battlefield. All of the Darksiders returned to their original selves and stood up. However, the army of demon and martial arts remained kneeling on the ground, as the seventh origin had no intention of helping them. The exploding demon lord's heart trembled, and he unleashed his demonic energy in the hopes of helping them. However, he found that his demonic energy had little effect on Yi Chen's demonic tempest and couldn't help his army break free. Yi Chun, the seventh origin, let out a heart-wrenching roar as it unleashed a demonic tempest toward Yi Chun. What a childish ability. However, Yi Chun didn't even bat an eye at the demonic tempest that could destroy a heavenly immortal. Thanks to the pressure of the eighth origin and the fact that he was now a 3-star ancient god, he was as powerful as the sun at high noon. Following Yi Chen's cold shout, the 3-star ancient god once again glowed, shattering the oncoming storm of evil energy. Eighth origin, you've brought your own humiliation upon yourself. You'd better think things through carefully, recognize your own inadequacies, and get the hell out of the spirit world. Otherwise, I'll kill you all. With that, Yi Chun turned around and left in a carefree manner. He did not care about the existence of the other 3 sources at all. The other 3 were very dissatisfied, but what could they do? The 7th origin flew out to pick up the 8th origin. However, the 8th origin had been severely affected and was now completely crippled. Puffed. Fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. All the meridians in his body were severed, and the evil energy was flowing in reverse. What do we do now? The 7th origin looked at the 6th origin. The 6th origin said coldly, "Old 8th has already lost his chance to recover. All we can do is make sure he doesn't suffer anymore." What do you mean? Very simple. In his life, the 6th origin reached out and tapped the 8th origin. Instantly, the evil power within the 8th origin was sucked out and then transferred to the 7th origin. The 9th origin didn't get any evil power at all, which made him very dissatisfied. However, the other 3 sources had a very close relationship, and as a member of the 4th origin, he was obviously not accepted by them. As the evil power was sucked out, the 8th origin's body slowly lost its ability to move and then turned into a desiccated corpse. Bury him. With that, the 6th origin turned and left. The 7th origin howled as it left, carrying the 8th origin's corpse. At this point, the 9th origin and the exploding devil monarch were also present. Exploding devil monarch. The 9th origin roared at the exploding devil monarch. You've come to see the source after all. He was very displeased at being ignored and could only vent his anger on the exploding devil monarch. Don't go too far, 9th origin. I might be working with you, but I don't belong to the evil spirit bloodline. Ha ha ha. You were so submissive to the other three sources before, and now you want to rebel against the source? The ninth Origin's heart was filled with coldness. How dare this person act so arrogantly in front of him? He was looking to die. Oof. The other three sources aren't here. So what do you think you're worth, ninth Origin? I'm going to bring the Red Devil clan back. What can you do about it? What? The ninth Origin was enraged and immediately attacked. Die. The exploding Devil Monarch didn't back down and responded with a powerful divine ability. Boom, boom, boom. Instantly, the entire space was thrown into chaos and explosions rang out. The exploding Devil Monarch wasn't at a disadvantage against the ninth Origin. It was obvious that the ninth Origin was far stronger than the other three sources, which was one of the reasons why the exploding Devil Monarch dared to rebel against him. As soon as the battle began, the exploding Devil Monarch ordered the Devil Martial Army to retreat. Rumble. The demonic warships began to turn back towards the Devil Martial realm. Of course, the ninth Origin wouldn't let him do as he wished. Ha ha ha. You just submitted, and now you're rebelling? What a vile character. I'll let you die here to atone for your crimes. Oof. The Red Devil clan would rather die in battle than submit. Now that the three sources weren't here, this was the exploding Devil Monarch's best chance. Roar, roar, roar. The Red Devil army roared as if they had seen hope. The demonic warships began to fly towards the Devil Martial Realm's space-time tunnel, hoping to return as soon as possible. All of you, return to the Devil Martial Realm. We'll stay behind to assist the exploding Devil Monarch. Understood. The top 10 experts stayed behind to attack the ninth Origin, hoping to help the exploding Devil Monarch escape. Power of the Origin. The ninth Origin unleashed its power, which swept across the battlefield and intimidated all the experts present. However, this power wasn't on the same level as the mutated power of the eighth Origin. Even the exploding Devil Monarch was able to put up some resistance, and with the help of the top 10 experts, the ninth Origin would have a hard time gaining the upper hand. Ha ha ha. Die, ninth Origin. The exploding Devil Monarch unleashed the combined power of the top 10 experts in an attempt to send the ninth Origin flying. Power of the Origin. Evil energy reaches the heavens. The ninth Origin unleashed its ultimate evil power, which converged upon the exploding Devil Monarch and his forces. Not good. The top 10 experts knew that danger was right in front of them, and immediately rushed in front of the exploding Devil Monarch. Exalted Devil Monarch, run! You! The exploding Devil Monarch was in great pain, but there was nothing he could do. He knew that the longer he stayed, the more trouble he would be in. Boom, boom, boom. After a series of explosions, 5 of the top 10 experts were blasted to smithereens by the evil power. Chapter 2292. The other 5 experts attacked at the same time, cutting off the ninth Origin's path and helping exploding Demon Lord escape. However, it was at this moment that a beast-like roar could be heard as a powerful figure appeared. It was none other than the enraged seventh Origin. After burying the eighth Origin, he had been in a state of rage and had never imagined that the exploding Devil Monarch would try to escape with the Red Devil tribe. Seventh Origin. The ninth Origin was about to fight the Red Devil tribe alone, but the eighth Origin didn't care. Screw off. With a roar, powerful evil energy swept out, and the ninth Origin was sent flying like a sandbag. There was no way he could block it. That was the difference in strength between them, and there was no way to make up for it. The ninth Origin wanted to fly into a rage, but the seventh Origin was still in a state of madness. If they fought him now, not only would they have no chance of winning, they might even lose their lives. That wasn't something the cunning ninth Origin would do. The seventh Origin attacked in a frenzy, and the 5 experts of the Red Devil tribe couldn't stop him. In the blink of an eye, they were all smashed to pieces. Exploding Demon Lord was furious. They were the few remaining experts of the Red Devil tribe, and yet they were still killed by the seventh Origin. Exploding mode. In his extreme rage, exploding Demon Lord broke through his limits and entered preservation mode. In this mode, exploding Demon Lord's power increased tenfold, and he entered a berserk, unrestrained state. His demonic energy was unparalleled. Ha ha, nice. The seventh origin was even more excited when he sensed the powerful demonic energy coming from exploding demon lord. If it were the previous exploding demon lord, he wouldn't have been able to kill him easily. Now, he had to fight a powerful opponent. This was the true nature of the three great origins. Origin mutation. A pair of bony wings sprouted from the seventh origin's back, covering the sky and looking extremely terrifying. Dying. Exploding demon lord still didn't know what fear was. In exploding mode, he could only fight to the death. Boom, boom, boom. The energy from both sides clashed continuously in the sky. Soon, the entire sky turned blood red. It was impossible to see what exactly was happening. However, the collision of the two shadows caused the earth and space to shatter. The feeling of the explosion of energy was still very clear. The ninth origin frowned as he watched the battle unfold. He hadn't expected the exploding demon king to have such hidden power. If he had been fighting the exploding demon king just now, he didn't think he would have been able to win. Now was the time to hand over this hot potato to the seventh origin and then reap the spoils from the sidelines. No matter who won, it would be beneficial to him. Let this source see how far you can fight. The ninth origin chuckled coldly. Right at this moment, the sky was suddenly filled with wind and clouds, and a majestic demonic shadow rushed out from within. The ninth origin looked on coldly as the devilish specter reached out with its claws to interrupt the battle between the seventh origin and the exploding devil emperor. Upon closer inspection, this person was the demon martial world's dark demon master, who had come to help under the dark emperor's orders. It's you. Sensing the presence of demon master Hui Xian, exploding demon king was actually very angry. He did not want to let this person see him in such a miserable state. The expedition this time was fruitless, and they had lost hundreds of thousands of red demon warriors. This was a huge blow to the world of demon and martial arts, and the appearance of Hui Xian was a heavy blow to exploding demon king. Ha ha, explosive demon monarch, you're useless. The Dark Emperor's order allows you to return to the demon martial world immediately. Exploding Demon King resolutely exited explosive mode. After all, that mode consumed too much energy and could not be maintained forever. As he flew away, evil power surged behind him and the world changed. Stop! The seventh origin's majestic figure appeared, and at the same time, it reached out with its claws and smashed Demon Master Hui Xian's claws. Oh! Sensing the seventh origin's power, Demon Master Hui Xian smiled coldly. You want to take him away before the source? Ha ha! How laughable! As the seventh origin laughed maniacally, the entire space around it trembled. Waves of evil power surged out, and the demonic warships fell one after another, tearing countless red demon warriors to shreds. Bastard! Exploding Demon King was furious. He wanted to fight again, but Demon Master Hui Xian stopped him and ordered him to carry out the Dark Emperor's order. Are you really going to stop us? Demon Master Hui Xian asked. Ha, so what if I am? Then don't blame me for not giving you face. Demon Master Hui Xian's aura of misfortune spread out endlessly, instantly sealing off an area of 500 kilometers in front of him. Within that area, no evil power could invade. In fact, if it did, it would be devoured by the misfortune, leaving nothing behind. What? The seventh origin hadn't expected this person to have such power, and the two sides went into a stalemate. In the meantime, Exploding Demon King led the remnants of the Red Demon tribe away. Leave your name. I am Demon Master Hui Xian. I await our next meeting. Seventh Origin. Die. The seventh origin unleashed powerful palm strikes, but they were all blocked by the misfortune and couldn't advance any further. Seeing that the red demon experts had left, the ninth origin sneered. Humph. Who would have thought that the invincible seventh origin would end up like this without letting the source do anything? How laughable! How laughable! What did you say? The seventh origin looked coldly at the ninth origin. Huh, don't you know what I'm talking about? The red demon tribe that submitted to you left just like that. Whose fault do you think it is? Oof. I'll apologize to the sixth origin. What does that have to do with you? With that, the seventh origin left. The ninth origin had a sinister look on its face, and then went to a secret altar to start a new communication. After leaving the area controlled by the evil spirits, Yi Chun retreated to the underworld. Finally, the Pluto King of Hell found the powerhouses. Great Emperor. The powerhouses came out to greet Yi Chun, all of them looking excited. They knew that no matter what difficulties he encountered, Yi Chun would be able to escape safely. This was Mo.'s strength and luck. Everyone, you've worked hard. Yi Chun sat on the throne, and the scene from 100 years ago replayed. Back then, Yi Chun had become the Dark Lord, the Pluto, and the master of the underworld. It was a wonderful thing. He asked the crowd, have there been any strange movements in the underworld? The Netherworld Patriarch stepped forward and said, Great Emperor, after returning to the underworld, I sensed many strange movements in the depths of the underworld. It's very mysterious. Oh, hearing this, Yi Chun's brows furrowed, and he immediately thought of someone. The person who had promised to help him, but had disappeared for a long time. Where? Here. The Netherworld Patriarch pointed with a finger. Instantly, a map of the underworld appeared, and the strange movements were marked out. Yi Chun glanced at it and nodded slightly. I'll still set up a barrier formation between the underworld and the battle house. Send someone to guard the Netherworld Patriarch. Yes, the Netherworld Patriarch accepted the imperial order and left. Meanwhile, Yi Chun began to think about the strange movements. Chapter 2293. In the endless void above the underworld, Yi Chun stood on a golden lotus and looked at the most empty spot, the abyss of nothingness. After entering the underworld, Yi Chun had obtained information about the underworld's history and investigated the various locations of the underworld. Finally, he found this place, the Void Spring, where the unusual activity was the most intense. Is this your true goal, God of the Underworld? The God of the Underworld had completely disappeared after arriving in the spirit realm. This was very unusual, and Yi Chun had long suspected that he had other plans. There were many mysteries in the underworld, and the abyss of nothingness was even more so. What secrets were hidden here? Here, Yi Chun sensed a powerful spatial energy, which meant that there might be another world in this place. Space-time fury. Yi Chun unleashed the power of wrath. In an instant, waves of spatial energy poured into the abyss of nothingness. Instantly, the abyss of nothingness turned upside down. Countless spaces trembled. Hidden within these tremors were abnormal energy fluctuations. All of these indicated that this place was not as simple as it seemed. Sitting cross-legged in the void, Yi Chun felt like he had entered another space. Outside the underworld, the evil spirits were wreaking havoc. With the three sources watching over them, the evil spirits rapidly developed and soon spread throughout the spirit realm. The local forces were massacred. Those who complied became slaves, and those who disobeyed were completely destroyed. In the main hall of the abyss of nothingness, the sixth origin sat on the throne, and below him were the seventh and ninth origin. Seventh origin, are there any forces in the spirit realm that are dissatisfied? The sixth origin asked. Those useless things. Whoever dares to disobey, destroy them all. Very well. Cut off the support of other places in the spirit realm, and the underworld will become a lone city. Immediately carry out the evil spirit's plan to destroy the world, and open the ultimate passage to the abyss of nothingness. I've been doing it for a long time. The ninth origin replied. During this time, it had repaired and expanded the altar in the abyss of nothingness. It was now much larger than before, so it had a foundation to open the ultimate passage to the evil spirits. The sixth origin nodded slightly, and then his eyes shone with desire. As the vanguard of this trip to the spirit realm, they had lost an important figure like the eighth origin. In truth, it was a huge failure. Therefore, he had to make some achievements and let the big shots of the evil spirit realm see his efforts. At the same time, in the demon god temple of the world of magic and martial, the failure of the explosive demon monarch had greatly displeased the Emperor of Darkness. Demon Lord Darkness, explosive demon monarch failed to invade the spiritual realm. Now that the battle of the six realms is at a disadvantage, what should we do? Emperor Darkness asked the Demon Lord. Demon Master Hui Xian pondered for a while and said, "The evil spirits have dominated the world, and it is clear that it is not suitable to cooperate. Now, we can only cooperate with the primordial immortal empire. After all, the primordial immortal empire situation is similar to ours, or even worse." I think so too. I have some ties with Ling Wang. This time, I will personally go to the primordial immortal empire. Congratulations to the Emperor for a smooth journey. How could it be wrong for this Emperor to take action? The Dark Emperor's figure instantly disappeared, and in the blink of an eye, he was already in the void. Then, a grand teleportation array automatically activated, and the Sovereign Emperor entered it. Primordial Immortal Empire, Glorious Spirit Palace. Lord Ling Wang, the battle of the six realms is in dire straits now. Our primordial immortal empire cannot sit back and do nothing, an expert said. Do you think I don't know? Now that the deeper powers have not come out, relying on these powers that have returned from the outside world, there is no way we can compete with the evil spirits. The loss of the spiritual realm is also just a fantasy. Damn it! Ling Wang was anxious. As the temporary ruler of the primordial immortal empire, his performance was very low and even regressed. This was very disadvantageous to him. Once the deeper powers of the spiritual realm returned, he would be held accountable. Rumble! Suddenly, a pillar of black light appeared, and a huge demonic shadow appeared in the sky. Ling Wang lifted his head slightly, looked at where the light was, and immediately felt a familiar aura. He smiled slightly in his heart. This might be a chance for the primordial immortal empire. He flew out, straight into the sky. Above the shining spear hall, the experts were puzzled and followed. Sensing the majestic devil energy, the experts recognized that it was the aura of the demon martial empire. But why did it appear outside the shining spear hall? This person must be a super expert. Otherwise, he could not have broken through the defense design of the primordial immortal empire and directly come to the shining spirit hall. Ling Wang came to the sky, released his dharma, and the huge immortal shadow confronted the demonic shadow. Ling Wang, how have you been? A low and powerful demonic voice filled the air, causing the experts from the primordial immortal empire to tremble. They knew that the person before them was the expert from the demon martial empire who could rival Ling Wang, and they naturally thought of the Darkness Emperor. Darkness Emperor, you have personally intruded into the primordial immortal empire. You sure are confident. This is nothing out of the ordinary. What's so difficult about it? I'm sure you know my purpose for coming here. I'm not sure. Ling Wang laughed a few times, struck out a palm, and attacked the pillar of light. Rumble. The huge palm print caused heaven and earth to tremble, and the sun and moon to lose their light. Then, within the pillar of light, a palm shot out at the same time. The devil energy raged, shooting straight into the sky. Such power was not inferior to Ling Wang's. One should know that this was where the Shining Spirit Hall was, and how many spirit designs protected it. To be able to match Ling Wang's palm here, one could see the depth of their foundation. Rumble. Then, two peaks rose from the ground, towering in the sky. Along with the sound of wild laughter, Ling Wang and the Darkness Emperor appeared. Seeing this, the experts below moved, ready to deal with the Darkness Emperor at any time. But they were all stopped by Ling Wang and did not move. On the peak, Ling Wang faced the Darkness Emperor. Darkness Emperor, state your purpose for coming. Simple, cooperate. Cooperate? Do you really think that I can only cooperate with the demon race? Ling Wang revealed a dignified expression, as if very disdainful of the Darkness Emperor's suggestion. This was the posture of a negotiation. He hoped to intimidate his opponent with his aura and gain a better bargaining chip. But the Darkness Emperor was not someone who could be intimidated easily. The primordial immortal empire targeted Yi Chun and lost 3 perfected masters. Now that the situation is so dangerous, you sent perfected Master Chong Su to contact the demon martial empire. Wasn't it for cooperation? I heard that the primordial immortal empire's hidden forces are not coming out. Are you dissatisfied with your control? Ling Huang was enraged, punching out. Instantly, Qilin appeared, and lightning struck the Darkness Emperor. Roar! The force of the lightning was unpredictable. The Darkness Emperor did not dare to be careless, and responded forcefully. Ha ha! 10,000 demon flames. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the demonic flames shot into the sky, covering the entire shining spirit hall. Such power shocked the experts. Chapter 2294. 10,000 demon flames, heaven and earth destruction. As the world shook, 10,000 demons came to pay their respects, unifying the 6 realms for thousands of years. The powerful demonic flames carried countless demonic shadows as they charged toward Ling Huang, not giving him any face at all. This was the Spirit Brilliance Palace, the place with the most defensive formations in the primordial immortal empire. The Dark Emperor was very confident in himself to dare to act out here. How dare you? As a master of the primordial immortal empire, how could Ling Huang be willing to let go? 9 Heavens Brilliance Technique. Ling Huang raised his palms to the sky, summoning the 9 luminaries. The 7 stars were indestructible, and endless immortal energy poured into his body. Rumble! The huge palm print drew out a supreme suction force. The endless demonic flames could not escape, and were all absorbed. Then, the palm print closed, and the demonic flames disappeared. This mystique shook the world, and the primordial immortal empire's experts cheered. Great! Ling Huang is invincible. All hail Ling Huang. The primordial immortal empire's experts had been shocked by the Dark Emperor's power, and now they recovered. On the peak, the Darkness Emperor smiled and said, "Ha ha! The might of the Ling Huang sect truly lives up to its name. I'm naturally full of sincerity. You and I are well aware of our respective strengths. Only by working together will we have a chance to fight against the evil spirits in Yi Chun. The evil spirits have wreaked havoc, and the spirit realm has been lost. How do you want to work together? Let's put aside our ancient feud and conquer the spirit realm together to fight against the evil spirits." Ling Huang thought for a moment. The spirit realm had completely fallen. If they could rely on the demon race to re-establish a stronghold, it would be beneficial to the primordial immortal empire. After all, it would greatly delay the evil spirit's advance. Dark Emperor, why don't we each send 100,000 troops to test it out and see the results? Ha ha, that's exactly what I was thinking. We have a tacit understanding. Ha, I still remember our agreement of 1,000 years. Very well, we'll meet in the spirit realm in 3 days. Please. Ling Huang put away the huge palm print, and the Dark Emperor flew up along the Pillar of Darkness. On the evil spirit altar, the 9th Origin chanted a secret spell. Instantly, evil energy shot up into the sky. Countless evil lights flickered in the sky, causing the space to tremble as a heavenly gate appeared. ZZZ. An evil seal appeared above the gate of heaven. Blood sacrifice. Evil energy for all eternity. The 9th Origin released some of its own blood, which poured into the wretched seal, causing it to shine with dazzling light. Then, the heavenly gate began to tremble, and countless magical symbols began to float out. Ha ha ha! He laughed like a madman as he looked into the gate of heaven. ZZZ. All of a sudden, a figure appeared above the heavenly gate, an enormous figure that looked like a giant of heaven and earth. When the 9th Origin saw it, it immediately bowed respectfully, not daring to be negligent. The 9th Essence. The deep voice was filled with indescribable majesty that caused the 9th Origin to tremble. Then it rose to its feet and looked up at the enormous figure. Exalted 4th Origin. This person was the direct leader of the ninth origin, the fourth origin. Within the evil spirit world, the four great river source powers were the true rulers of the evil spirit world. They were far more powerful than the other river source powers, and their cultivation bases were so high that no one knew exactly how strong they were. The ninth river source was the vanguard that the fourth river source had sent to the spirit world. Your mission is not progressing smoothly. That was your subordinate's mistake. However, the three great river source powers have descended to the lower worlds, and the eighth origin is gone. That's a good thing for us. The eighth origin was a great general of the third origin. Well done. Laughter echoed out. Who would have thought that the fourth origin would actually be happy about the eighth origin's death? Undercurrents were surging within the evil spirit world, and no one knew exactly what was going on. We can't be disorderly before the evil spirit world's grand plan to unify the six realms. Right now, you need to cooperate with the sixth origin and wait for my orders. Your subordinate is well aware of that. I will obey the fourth origin's orders. Very good. Just wait. It won't be long before the evil spirit world's army enters the world. At that time, no power will be a match for us. Yes, sir. The ninth origin bowed again, sending the fourth origin off. After returning to the evil spirit temple, the ninth origin passed on the fourth origin's orders to the sixth and seventh origin. Very good. Before the evil spirit world's grand plan is carried out, ninth origin, please don't be selfish. This is the bottom line of the evil spirits. Sixth origin, there's no need to doubt my loyalty. Ha ha ha. The sixth origin laughed heartily at the ninth origin, a profound look in their eyes. Ruumble. All of a sudden, the ground trembled and a powerful energy erupted from deep within the earth. It was as if heaven and earth were trembling. The three great origins were completely shaken and immediately rushed out of the evil spirit temple to sense what was happening in the depths of the evil spirit abyss. Something's not right. The sixth origin's palm slammed into the ground, and instantly, evil power surged out from the veins of the earth. However, that power quickly vanished without a trace. The three great origins were once again shaken. The palm they had just unleashed could have killed a celestial immortal, but it had been completely useless against this strange phenomenon. What did that mean? The three great origins could sense that the source of the strange phenomenon was somewhere in the spirit world. However, if they tried to sense the exact location, they would be interrupted and unable to focus. What's going on? The ninth origin asked. This seems to be a natural phenomenon of the spirit world, not some force. The sixth origin frowned, as if it was taking this phenomenon very seriously. The seventh origin leaned over the ground, using his superior hearing to try to pinpoint the exact location of the strange phenomenon. However, all he heard was a stampede of 10,000 horses and a chaotic flow of energy. What's going on, old seventh? The sixth origin asked. It's hard to tell, the seventh origin said with a frown. This phenomenon is too strange. It's definitely not an ordinary phenomenon. We can't let it affect the final descent of the evil spirits. The ninth origin immediately sent a large army to investigate. Yes, sir. The ninth origin nodded, then quickly left. At the same time, Yi-chan sensed a powerful tremor in the void abyss of the underworld, which was even more intense than the tremor in the spirit world. Yi-chan's field of vision covered a vast area of the underworld. Countless streams of underworld energy were spreading out, and the strange phenomenon was stirring. Wind and clouds swept about, as if the entire world was shaking. This was the first time Yi-chan had ever seen a phenomenon like this. What's going on? Yi-chan looked at the void abyss up ahead. Although he couldn't be sure, his powerful sixth sense told him that the source of the strange phenomenon was in the void abyss. In the void origin, the Lord of the Underworld flew in pursuit of his solitary sword spirit. The sword spirit sped along, circling above a spirit land. The Lord of the Underworld stopped, its entire body emitting a piercing cold energy. Chapter 2295. Arg. The Underworld god suddenly covered his head and cried out in pain. The countless memories in his mind were mixed into one, and he could not figure them out. The super chaotic pain made his mind collapse. Wanner. He called out a person's name, and then he fell into even greater chaos. He had been sleeping for too long and had forgotten the biggest secret in his heart. However, the traces left behind by the memory allowed him to find this place. The moment he saw the Dugu Jianling, he thought he had found the answer, but now he fell into endless chaos again. Z. As the powerful mind power swept through the world and filled the 9 heavens, endless power broke through the restrictions of time and space and rushed to Earth. Ark. There was another person on Earth who was in pain at the same time. It was Su Yuhan. She flew out, and her figure was like a dream. Soon, she arrived at a secret mountain forest. The sudden pain made her break out in cold sweat, and she fell into a state of chaos. She had no idea what was happening. Ever since she left the underworld, she had been normal. She returned to the area and took care of the children so that Yi Chan would not have to worry about them. She did not even improve her body during this period because she wanted to reduce her connection with the underworld. However, she still sensed the chaos this time. It was from the underworld. Yi Chen, did something happen to you? Yi Chen's figure suddenly appeared in her mind, and her heartbeat became more chaotic. In the abyss of nothingness, the underworld god released the underworld power to protect himself. He had no better idea. However, the sword spirit continued to release power. Even the underworld power could not stop the transmission of power. It seemed to be the agreement in his previous life that it could not be destroyed. Who exactly is this vivid sense of life coming from? Suddenly, the underworld god sensed Su Yuhan on Earth. A pair of eyes of darkness appeared in Su Yuhan's mind across countless dimensions, making her panic. What? What is this? The memories of the underworld lord kept surging in her mind. Su Yuhan felt a tremor that hit the deepest part of her soul. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. With a flash of lightning, everything disappeared again. Meanwhile, the Dugu Jianling continued to fly in the abyss of nothingness. Where are you going? The underworld god turned into a shadow and followed the Dugu Jianling. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sword spirit flew faster and faster, but the underworld deity was close behind. Several more hours passed, and the sword spirit finally came to a halt. In front of him was a boundless starry sky, a boundless torrent of space-time. It was as if everything here had become eternal. This is the god of the underworld opened his eyes and watched the Dugu Jianling disappear into the endless starry sky. That was his destination. Demon's Eye. He opened the eye of the devil and looked at the starry sky. Waves of life energy flowed out, making the underworld god feel waves of warmth and familiarity. He was extremely excited as he walked into the sea of stars. In front of the void abyss, Yi Chen finally took his first step. Underworld deity, I don't care what secrets you have. Let me reveal them. Yi Chen stepped on the celestial emperor's sword as lotuses bloomed around him. He entered the void instantly. The space inside was indeed different from the outside. Yi Chen instantly felt a strong pressure. This pressure was very strange and could only be reduced by divine power. Ordinary power was useless. It was as if the entire place was prepared for the gods. How could this be? The existence of this place was very unusual. Yi Chen realized that there must be some connection between this place and the underworld god. Demon's Eye. Yi Chen opened the demon's eye at the same time. He saw a vast sea of stars. It was because of the homologous effect of the demon's eye that he saw some of the images that the underworld god saw. Let's go. With a step, the celestial emperor's sword flew like a stream of light, bringing Yi Chen into the mysterious void. In the deepest part of the void abyss, there was an endless sea of stars. The underworld god stepped into it. At a glance, he could not tell the difference between the thousands of stars. The underworld god released his power and kept extending it, trying to find the root. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not find anything. Impossible. The underworld god was furious. He released countless illusory streams of light that rushed in all directions. Countless information was brought back and entered the underworld god's mind. However, the information was chaotic, as if it had been set by someone. This was not an ordinary space, but a vast starry sky maze formation that no one could break through. The underworld god saw the mystery. If he wanted to see the truth, he had to break through the starry sky maze formation. Ha ha! Come at me if you want to test me. The underworld god's wild laughter echoed in the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A divine weapon appeared in his hand, the netherworld mirror. Whoosh! He threw the netherworld mirror and looked at the 3,000 worlds. No matter how vast the starry sky was, it could not escape the netherworld mirror's gaze. Sizzle! The light of the underworld shrouded the 3,000 worlds. The endless array was controlled by the underworld god. How amazing! Who could set up such an exquisite array and mobilize vast power to set up endless space and time? What a godly person! The underworld god could not help but exclaim. Before this, he did not think that there was anyone who could receive such a compliment from the underworld god. What he saw before him was unconventional. The netherworld mirror enveloped the endless space and time. Finally, a formation diagram appeared before him. After seeing the true diagram, the underworld god was even more surprised. What he saw before him was like a dream. He felt a sense of familiarity. The underworld god waved his arm, and the demon's eye appeared again. All the information about the array entered his eyes. Putting away the netherworld mirror, the underworld god waved his sword. Under the guidance of the demon's eye, he found a possible way to break the array. Sizzle! After a few steps, the Dugu Jianling suddenly appeared again. His sword chi was awe-inspiring and filled with murderous intent. The underworld god's eyes turned cold. He pointed his sword at the Dugu Jianling. The Dugu Jianling formed countless swords and attacked the underworld god. Ha ha! Child's play. The underworld god stepped forward. He was not afraid of the sword array at all. It turned out that he was covered with a layer of underworld god energy shield. All the swords landed on the shield and could not reach his body. Whoosh! 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 Boom! 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 The sword chi continued to attack without any effect. The underworld god walked into the vast starry sky. The Dugu Jianling hung above the starry sky. Then, starlight poured into the Dugu Jianling. A sky pass appeared in front of him. Oh! The underworld god smiled with interest. He looked at the sky pass and saw a person standing on it. The two looked at each other. The underworld god was shocked. Damn it! The underworld god's power formed a sword and rushed toward the sky pass. Whoosh! At the same time, the swordsman above the sky pass moved slightly. His sword finger formed a sword and swept out. The underworld god's power instantly. Chapter 2296. The nether god's power dissipated instantly. The nether god frowned. The opponent in front of him was not simple. Those who stop the nether god will die. Facing the nether god's powerful voice, the opponent was not afraid at all. He remained silent and activated the astral maze formation. Suddenly, the entire space fell into extreme chaos again. It was an unpredictable situation. Such a situation was very difficult to solve. However, the lonely sword spirit was here. The nether god would not miss this opportunity. Dong, dong, dong. The nether god entered the formation. No matter what formation it was, he would break it. At the same time, Yichen also entered the void abyss with the heavenly sword. Soon, he saw the astral maze formation and even sensed the nether god's energy. His gaze swept thousands of miles and instantly saw the battle scene in front of him. Nether god. Yichen locked his gaze on the nether god and moved forward quickly. He wanted to know what the nether god was doing and why he did not fulfill his promise. As Yichen moved forward, he saw the nether god fighting a mysterious powerhouse. Both of them were using their abilities, but it was hard to tell who was the winner. This situation surprised Yichen. Who was the nether god? Someone could fight against him? In the astral maze formation, the nether god's power kept exploding. The surrounding space expanded rapidly, and countless stars exploded. The Nether God finally understood that the person in front of him also used the Nether God's power, and his foundation was strong beyond imagination. Ever since he fell asleep, his foundation was not as good as before. That was why the person in front of him could take advantage of him. However, the astral maze formation ahead contained the lonely sword spirit's secret. The Nether God would not stop. Nether Moon Whale. After a long time, the Nether God was enraged and used his ultimate ability. Endless resentful spirits rushed into the sky, carrying the power to destroy ghosts. It shook the world and filled the surroundings. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The ghosts screamed with endless resentful energy. Nether Moon Whale. At this moment, the mysterious expert in the sky was actually using the same divine ability and the same power to attack the 9 heavens. Such a strange thing caused the Nether Serpent to turn pale with fright. Similarly, Yi-chan, who was watching from the outside, also felt an incomprehensible phenomenon. Ha ha ha! The Nether God laughed as if he understood something, but also fell into a deeper level of confusion. Netherworld Mirror, kill. The Netherworld Mirror reappeared in the void, and the boundless ghost energy was added once again. The powerful wails of ghosts and howls of wolves instantly swept through the entire space, forcefully suppressing the mysterious expert's divine ability. How about now? The god of the underworld waved an arm in a provocative manner, but the opponent was not moved at all. He activated the starry sky maze and covered up the ghost energy again. It's useless. I gave you a chance, but now you don't have a chance. The god of the underworld opened the eye of the fiend. Immediately, the 9 heavens were filled with the power of the god of the underworld, which turned into the image of the god of the underworld. Its sharp claws pressed down, and heaven and earth collapsed. Boom! Space shattered, and the universe ceased to exist. Ugh! Finally, under the strong suppression of the god of the underworld, the mysterious powerhouse could not hold on any longer, and his body exploded. After defeating its opponent, the Nether God continued forward. Yi-chan carefully observed the Nether God's divine ability as he constantly evolved and cultivated in the ancient god space. After all, the eye of the demon and the source of darkness gave him a natural affinity for the god of the underworld's mystiques. With the help of the ancient god space, cultivating it would be much easier. Go! The heavenly sword under his feet sped forward to keep up with the god of the underworld. Walking into the starry sky maze, the god of the underworld mirror reappeared and illuminated a path deep into the starry sky. The starry sky path before them seemed to have no end. The god of the underworld walked and observed, but ultimately did not find anything. Meanwhile, Yi-chan entered the starry sky maze and lost the god of the underworld's position. He could only find his own way forward. After walking for about an hour, he also found that the starry sky before him seemed to have no end. Even the path he came from had disappeared without a trace. Am I trapped? Yi-chan looked around. There was no end as far as the eye could see. It was difficult to obtain any information. God of the underworld. This time, he had come to find the god of the underworld. This situation was disadvantageous to him. After all, the Netherworld Battle Mansion could be in danger at any time in the outside world. Yi-chan roared, and his voice shook the land. He wanted to rely on the god of the underworld's divine power to sense the god of the underworld's position. However, his voice spread out like a clay ox entering the sea, not stirring up a single ripple. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Suddenly, Yi-chan seemed to see countless ghostly shadows appearing and then disappearing without a trace. Such a situation was clearly not natural. This was a man-made array formation. A formation? I'll do as you wish. Yi-chan's eyes flashed. He tossed out the 8-gate divine disc and the Buddha Emperor sacred tablet. Immediately, the 9 heavens Buddha light appeared. The power of the disc rotated and the entire space entered the disc's range. The heavenly Tao may be infinite, but the light will last forever. The eye of heavenly Tao between Yi-chan's brows opened and released the light of heavenly Tao. Endless providence turned into rays of light and poured into the disc. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The disk continued to evolve. 64 trigrams opened a new world. Hiss, hiss, hiss. In Yi Chen's eyes, the world before him became clear. At a glance, there was a frozen mountain range in the distance. In a mountain range, endless god of the underworld swept through the world. A three-headed hellhound spewed demonic flames. Yi Chen's mind exploded. What was going on? Was this related to the god of the underworld's obsession? After these encounters, Yi Chen felt that this place was inextricably linked to the god of the underworld. Was the ultimate goal of the god of the underworld's obsession within the frozen mountain range? Thinking of this, Yi Chen tossed out the dragon-taming spear. Thunder and lightning automatically opened a path for Yi Chen. Yi Chen stepped on a golden lotus and walked on this path. The space before him expanded rapidly, but Yi Chen still seemed endless. This predicament infuriated the Heavenly Emperor. Space-time fury. The fury appeared, and the space-time laws instantly changed. The dragon-taming spear activated the Thunder God Dharma form, and the space formation before him exploded. I'm coming. Yi Chen chuckled. Although the formation was exquisite, it could not stop the Heavenly Emperor. Passing through the limitations of space-time, Yi Chen finally arrived at the frozen mountain range. Nether Seal Mountain. The three large words entered his mind and automatically introduced the existence of the mountain range before him. At a glance, the mountain range stretched on endlessly as if it was millions of miles long. Endless god of the underworld revolved and continuously gathered at the core, which was the frozen land. Sensing the situation in the frozen land, the god of the underworld in Yi Chen's body was extremely restless. Rumble, rumble, rumble. In his meridians, the god of the underworld seemed to automatically rush out and inject into the core. This strange phenomenon surprised Yi Chen. How was this possible? Yi Chen revolved the darkness pool, trying to stop the loss of this power, but it only encouraged this strange effect. Peerless, ancient god. Faced with this situation, Yi Chen was furious. Ancient god of the underworld came out to protect him and suppress the loss of the god of the underworld. Chapter 2297. The ancient god power was endless, slowing down the loss of the dark divine power. However, the situation before him still shocked Yi Chen. What kind of power could cause the dark divine power in his body to drain? With the ancient god's protection, Yi Chen advanced forcefully, wanting to uncover this secret. Suddenly, the astral formation rippled again as Yi Chen was advancing. It released a powerful shockwave that swept across the area. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of rapid explosions shook the heavens and earth. Following that, countless rocks appeared before Yi Chen's eyes, blocking his way. However, to Yi Chen, such obstacles were nothing. They were all insignificant tricks. Slash! With a thought, the immortal slaying flying dagger flew rapidly. Countless rays of light shattered the rocks before him. Following that, the golden lotus bloomed rapidly. Infinite power propped up a light screen, leading Yi Chen forward. In front of him, the frozen air gradually thickened. The powerful dark divine power stirred up the power in Yi Chen's body. Yi Chen felt that their dark divine power came from the same source. Dark God, what are you doing here? It seemed like this place was definitely the Dark God's territory. However, Yi Chen recalled that the Dark God had faced the mysterious powerhouse in the astral formation. It was obvious that the Dark God was also obstructed when he wanted to enter this place. What was going on? His thoughts were complicated, and he could not make an accurate judgment. He could only see the truth behind the ice. Roar! A dragon roar sounded. Instantly, all the rocks in the surrounding space shattered, turning into dust and drifting away. When Yi Chen arrived at the frozen land, he saw clearly what kind of secret was hidden in the ice. It turned out to be a person. The moment he saw that person, Yi Chen was dazed. The familiarity shocked him. The person before him was like Su Yuhan, standing quietly in the ice. That cold aura was even stronger than Su Yuhan's, but the details of their expressions were similar. Was this a coincidence? Yi Chen would never believe that it was a coincidence. After all, Su Yuhan, was the reincarnation of the Lord of the Underworld. She was deeply connected to the Underworld. After the Lord of the Underworld appeared, she followed Yi Chun to the spiritual realm and then entered the Underworld. This was strange in itself. If all of this was related to Su Yuhan, all the more Yi Chun had to investigate. Yi Chun walked forward and placed his hand on the ice seal gently. Immediately, nether divine power flowed toward the person inside the ice seal. This time, he did not use the ancient divine power to suppress it. Instead, he allowed the energy to flow into the ice. He wanted to use the confidence that the nether divine power would reflect back into the ice. Z. As the nether divine power flowed into the ice, as expected, Yi Chun seemed to be able to sense all sorts of information about the person inside the ice. He even saw that it was the god of the underworld who had frozen this person a long time ago. "Who are you?" Yi Chun released the eerie wave, hoping to get a response. Although this method was very risky and consumed a lot of energy, Yi Chun did not say anything and immediately activated it. He did not get any response from her many times of spiritual communication. However, Yi Chun would not give up because it concerned Su Yuhan. The origin of darkness appeared behind Yi Chun, and an even more powerful nether divine power was released. With such a vast amount of power being channeled into the ice, the person inside showed signs of awakening. Kacha. The surrounding ice slowly cracked. Yi Chun sensed an obvious psychic fluctuation. Z. He continued to release his psychic power, wanting to merge with the spiritual body inside the ice. Suddenly, Yi Chun felt an extremely strong psychic shock. He lifted his head abruptly and saw a pair of cold eyes that were as bright as stars staring at him. That feeling was very strange. Even with a super strong spiritual body like Yi Chun, he still felt a trace of uneasiness. It was obvious that the person before him had an extremely strong psychic power. "Who are you? What's your relationship with Su Yuhan?" Yi Chun asked through telepathy. There was still no response from the other party, but Yi Chun could feel that the psychic power he released was being absorbed by this person. Yi Chun released these things on purpose, hoping that the other party would wake up soon and answer his question. However, the woman's change was still very slow. It was unknown how many years she had been frozen. No wonder she was like this. Yi Chun unleashed his power once again. Powerful energy was infused into the ice seal, causing more cracks to appear in the surrounding ice seal. Following that, the woman's eyes shone with a strange light. After Yi Chun received it, a shadow instantly appeared in front of him. It was the woman. Facing such a phenomenon, Yi Chun dealt with it cautiously. After thousands of years of slumber, someone other than him has come here. The woman said, "The him you're talking about is the god of the underworld?" Yi Chun asked, You really do know about the god of the underworld. I saw many emotions in your anxious eyes earlier. You seem to be obsessed with me." Hearing this, Yi Chun's eyes narrowed and he asked, "What's your relationship with Su Yuhan?" Su Yuhan? Hearing the name, the woman was stunned for a moment. However, that was all. She did not react much. She said, "I don't know anything about Su Yuhan, but I have a favor to ask of you." "What is it?" "Remove this 1,000-year ice seal. It's not difficult for me, but I want to ask you to go to Earth with me to meet someone. As long as you remove the ice seal, I'll definitely agree to it." "All right." Yi Chun nodded slightly and channeled all the ancient god power in his body into his 8 extraordinary meridians. Subsequently, he flew up, and the dragon restraining spear appeared in his hand. Thunder God's form, 9 refinements divine spear. He channeled the ancient god power into the dragon restraining spear. Immediately, the wind and clouds surged, thunder appeared, and the 9 heavens shook. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder rumbled continuously, and the spear pierced through everything. Just when Yi Chun was about to remove the ice seal with his spear, the space in the sky suddenly tore, and a person descended powerfully. No! There was a sudden cold shout, and the god of the underworld's palm struck down at Yi Chun. Yi Chun turned around coldly. Silver spear flowed out of his spear as he turned around and attacked the sky. Rumble. The palm and the spear created a thunderous sound in the sky. The powerful energy spread in all directions and shook the wilderness. Many mountains around them shattered, countless glaciers cracked, and mountains and seas flowed. Yichen looked up and saw that it was the god of the underworld. God of the underworld. He locked his cold eyes on the god of the underworld, and his deep voice revealed endless dissatisfaction. However, the god of the underworld landed and quickly arrived before the ice seal core, seemingly protecting the person inside. This action puzzled Yichen. Yichen wanted to release the woman inside. Why was he stopped by the god of the underworld? Did the god of the underworld not want her to be resurrected? Yichen, don't move. Huh. God of the underworld, you've forgotten your promise and still want to stop me. What a joke. Chapter 2298. Huh. Do I have to listen to you? The god of the underworld sneered in response to Yichen's accusation. Yichen was furious. No matter who the person before him was, he would not talk to him like that. Moreover, the god of the underworld had promised to help Yichen fight the people from the demon martial world and the primordial immortal world. Yichen had even helped him eliminate many evil spirit forces in the underworld world. Naturally, Yichen would not accept the god of the underworld's actions. Moo! Yichen shouted and took out the dragon-taming spear. The heavenly lightning shot through the sky. Its power was not inferior to the god of the underworld. Yichen, calm down. Calm down? Do you need to calm down? God of the underworld, do you think I'm afraid of you? Ah, young genius, you're famous in the world. Why would you be afraid of me? Then move. Since you don't want to help, don't cause trouble. The person in the ice was related to Su Yuhan. Yichen did not want to waste time and wanted to figure it out as soon as possible. Therefore, saving her was necessary. However, the god of the underworld shook his head and said in a deep voice, Yichen, I've just recovered my memory. Do you know who this person is? I don't care who she is. I only know that this person is related to my wife. I want to save her and bring her to Earth. Fool, what? Yichen's eyes flashed with a cold gleam as he looked at the god of the underworld. However, the god of the underworld was unmoved. He continued to explain, the seal on the Nether Seal Mountain was personally sealed by me thousands of years ago. However, I've lost these memories because I've been asleep for too long. Ever since I came out of closed-door cultivation, some images often appeared in my mind. They were related to the Nether Seal Mountain. That's why I accompanied you to the spirit realm and then the underworld. Now, I finally understand that the Nether Seal Mountain is the place that I really care about. Who is this person? Yichen went straight to the point. She's Su Yuhan's mother. What? Yichen was shocked. How could he believe Su Yuhan's mother? However, the person before him was indeed related to Su Yuhan. How did things turn out like this? The god of the underworld had expected Yichen's shock. God of the underworld, is Su Yuhan your son? Not bad. Her reply filled Yichen with mixed feelings. He did not expect things to turn out like this. However, why was Su Yuhan's mother frozen here? He really wanted to know the story behind it. After all, in his eyes, Su Yuhan was only related to the Netherlord. Now that she was suddenly related to the Nether God, he found it hard to accept. This is what happened. Several thousand years ago, I was ambushed by the Dark Buddha of the Six Paths. The god of the underworld's narration actually involved the grievances of thousands of years ago, and the woman in front of him was the god of the underworld's most beloved, Duguan. If that's the case, god of the underworld, I'm going to release Duguan, and reunite with Yuhan. Step aside. No. What? Yichen was confused. The god of the underworld shook his head and said in a low voice, if you lift the seal in front of you, Duguan will definitely die. What? Yichen was shocked. Was this the reason why the Lord of the Underworld had stopped him? But why? It was Duguan who had asked him to break the seal. Otherwise, he would not have acted so recklessly. She just doesn't want me to take any more risks. What do you mean? To revive Duguan, I'll need a rank 6 spiritual vein and my secret technique. Rank 6 spiritual vein. Yichen was shocked. He had never heard of that before. The god of the underworld continued. The rank 6 spiritual vein is the most mysterious energy hub in the 6 realms. There's one in every cultivation level. Only the core essence of the rank 6 spiritual vein can be used. Back then, I challenged the world because of the 6 realms spiritual vein. In the end, I was ambushed by the Dark Buddha of the 6 paths and was severely injured, causing me to hibernate for thousands of years. I see. With Yi Chen's intelligence, he had already understood the cause and effect of the matter. It was precisely because Dugu Wan'er did not want the god of the underworld to continue risking her life for her and endure thousands of years of pain. That was why she wanted Yi Chen to lift the seal. At the same time, it was a form of relief. Yi Chen put the dragon restraint spear away after learning that. Naturally, he would not continue attacking because this was Dugu Wan'er's suicide plan. Yi Chen, I've exhausted a lot of energy during my hibernation. Not only did the Dark Buddha of the 6 paths injuries not heal, but they worsened instead. At that moment, the god of the underworld was exuding layers of dark energy. Yi Chen sensed it and realized that it contained extremely powerful hellfire power. The power suppressed the nether god power and even burned his primordial spirit continuously. There's not much time left. The god of the underworld said, Yi Chen, I can only trust you now. You wanted to look for the rank 6 spiritual vein. Yi Chen was right. That was the god of the underworld's wish. That's right. I need to ensure the safety of the eye seal here. You're my only hope. As long as you bring back the rank 6 spiritual vein essence, Dugu Wan'er will be resurrected. Isn't that what you're doing to Su Yuhan? Yi Chen fell into deep thought. The god of the underworld's words made sense. He should do that for Su Yuhan. Moreover, unifying the 6 realms was his grand ambition. Yi Chen, I won't let you work for free. As long as you bring back the rank 6 spiritual vein, I'll teach you the nether god's secret mirror. It's the essence of my cultivation base. It's a treasure to you. What do you think? All right, I'll promise you that. Yi Chen promised the god of the underworld and set off quickly to look for the rank 6 spiritual vein. After leaving the astral maze formation, Yi Chen returned to the underworld. The first thing he had to look for was the spiritual vein core. In the underworld temple, Yi Chen told the Patriarch of Hell and the other core members about the situation. In the end, the Patriarch of Hell and the rest guarded the underworld and informed Yi Chen of all kinds of information. Yi Chen acted on his own and looked for the spiritual vein. According to the map of the underworld given by the Patriarch of the underworld, Yi Chen locked onto an unclaimed land in the underworld. According to the 8 Gates Divine Disc and the 7 Stars Lock, this place was where the spirit eye of the underworld was located. Although it was barren, Yi Chen went there alone. After 7 days of searching with the Divine Disc and the Demon Eye, he finally found a primordial peak. The Underworld Mountain is rumored to be the most mysterious and secretive place in the underworld. I like to see how many surprises it can bring me. Stepping into the Underworld Mountain, Yi Chen sensed a heavy and oppressive atmosphere. The environment here was clearly different from other places in the underworld. The yin energy here was extremely heavy. If Yi Chen did not have the god of the underworld's foundation, he might not be able to move an inch here. A ghost forest appeared in front of him. As he walked into the forest, Yi Chen felt that his energy was greatly disturbed. The endless ghost forest hid unfathomable dangers. The surrounding space rustled and there were strange sounds. Under the dark sky, it was like entering a dark hell. It was suffocating. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A gust of wind swept and the earth and rocks cracked. Countless black leaves fluttered down, sending chills down one's spine. Chapter 2299. Evil Spirit Abyss, Origin Hall. Did you receive a new order? The 7th Origin asked. The 6th Origin frowned slightly and said, I received a message from the altar. Lady Nu Rong personally ordered us to take control of the 6 realms' spirit veins as soon as possible. Rank 6 spirit veins? That's right. The rank 6 spirit veins are the energy core of the 6 realms and the key to unifying the 6 realms. We will carry out Lady Nu Rong's order with our lives. In that case, let's begin. Summon all evil generals and scatter into the 6 realms to find the spirit veins. 7th brother, go to the underworld to find the spirit veins and investigate Yi Chen's situation. Yes. The 7th origin nodded slightly and went to the underworld after gathering his troops. The 6th origin looked around the entire spirit realm. Naturally, he was looking for the spirit veins in the spirit realm. The primordial immortal world and the demon martial world had formed an alliance and were preparing to enter the spirit realm. In the spirit realm, the abandoned true spirit hall was stirring again. Rumble. As the super space-time passageway opened, Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor personally led an army. I didn't expect the cultivators of the spirit realm to be so weak. The Darkness Emperor sneered when he saw the current state of the true spirit hall. Our primordial immortal world's army has descended. This time, we must prosper the immortal Tao. Darkness Emperor, our greatest enemy in the spirit realm is the evil spirits. What are your plans? Ling Huang asked. The Darkness Emperor's eyes turned cold. The failure of the demon martial world had humiliated the demon martial world. This time, they must return to the spirit realm. Ling Huang, why don't we go to the evil spirit abyss? Are we going to take the evil spirits down a notch? That's right. Ha ha ha, great. The two almighties smiled at each other and flew toward the evil spirit abyss. The remaining demon martial world and primordial immortal world armies began to build fortifications to prevent the evil spirits from attacking. In the ghost woods in the underworld, Yi Chen was still looking for the path to the spirit vein. Yi Chen bowed slightly and supported himself with one hand. Then, he released nether divine power from his 5 fingers. He wanted to communicate with the entire spirit vein to find clues. As the power from his 5 fingers seeped into the spirit vein, waves of nether divine power silently connected with the power in the spirit vein like little snakes. ZZZ. After about a quarter of an hour, all sorts of information began to flow back. The land within a 1,000-mile radius was completely under Yi Chen's control. In Yi Chen's mind, a vast, endless 1,000-blade mountain range appeared. This mountain range was like a coiling dragon, and those peaks were like the reverse scales of a dragon that stretched across the land. At the same time, strange auras were constantly being emitted. These auras could even be seen, like the hot breath of a giant, and the laws within them were strange and unfathomable. There is actually such a strange place in the netherworld. Yi Chen had never noticed this place before. He only sensed it when he was looking for the spiritual vein this time. Sword control art, rise. Yi Chen released the heavenly sword and stepped on the ground, heading toward the place where he had sensed it. The closer Yi Chen got to that place, the more he could feel the hidden bitterness, melancholy, majesty, and indescribable feeling. This feeling made Yi Chen feel as if he was in the same place. He was surrounded by 1,000-blade peak. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Strange energy constantly seeped out from the 1,000-blade peak. This energy turned into a tangible aura that floated between the peaks like a black fog. Strange lights constantly flashed within it, like a pair of cold and gloomy eyes looking at the invaders. Rumble. Suddenly, a rumbling sound reverberated from the peak. Many 1,000-blade peaks began to collapse. Rubble flew into the clouds, and 1,000 autumns crashed onto the shore, causing these strange auras to attack Yi Chen like a grand wave. Yi Chen's brows turned cold, and he struck out with his palm. 9th heaven, thunder palm. The sharp palm drew lightning, and the world shook. A grand palm print shot out and collided with the airwaves that swept over from the 1,000-blade peak. ZZT, ZZT, ZZT. The power of lightning swept through the sky, suppressing the airwaves. However, the laws within the airwaves quickly began to transform. The power of the palm print was madly nibbled away by the airwaves. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen's palm print disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, Yi Chen's Buddha's light blazed. The power of the seal shone out with Buddha's words. ZZT, ZZT, ZZT. The Buddha's Emperor's light was so powerful that it instantly suppressed the airwaves of death. From the depths of the airwaves came a decadent sound, like an old man's low moan, like the growl of a dying beast. It was impossible to hear what it was, but it was extremely oppressive. The uneasy aura did not stop because of the Buddha's light. Instead, it deepened. What a strange place, but it's piqued my interest. Yi Chun continued to venture deeper into the Thousand Blade Mountains to find out the truth. At the same time, a dark figure rushed in from the entrance to the underworld. Behind him were several powerful evil generals. It was the seventh origin. The underworld reminds me of the underworld realm. This aura is very familiar. The seventh origin's gaze swept through the world, and all sorts of underworld auras constantly reverberated in his mind. Split up and investigate immediately. Use the magic artifacts we prepared beforehand, and find the spirit vein as soon as possible. Understood? Yes, we understand. Dozens of powerful evil generals each led a small team and ran in different directions. The seventh origin narrowed his eyes and flew into the air. There seemed to be very little life in the underworld. He immediately locked onto the direction of the underworld temple, where Yi Chun's subordinates were stationed. However, his goal this time was not to break into the underworld temple, but to find the spirit vein. Yi Chun will settle our debts. His gaze turned cold, and his sharp teeth chattered as he tossed out an artifact. PSSSD, PSSSD. The artifact was shaped like a shield, and it was engraved with various evil spirit patterns. They were actually high-level inscriptions that allowed evil energy to automatically form a formation and activate the artifact, automatically searching for the source of energy between heaven and earth. Soon, the artifact reflected light back, forming a three-dimensional image in front of the seventh origin. It was an image of the land within a 1,000-mile radius. Many sources of energy were displayed, but they were all ordinary energy sources that were very different from a real spirit vein. Let's go. The seventh origin jumped onto the artifact and flew it into the depths of the underworld. After passing through the ghost forest, Yi Chun arrived at the foot of the Thousand Blade Mountains. As far as the eye could see, the entire mountain range was shrouded in a strange aura. This aura carried with it a boundless aura of death, even more despairing than the chi of hell. The low murmuring continued, as if warning the intruder to leave immediately, or else die. Boom, boom, boom. The earth trembled, and boulders rolled down from the Thousand Blade Mountains, carrying with them endless sand and dust. The strange aura of death surged continuously, as if it wanted to devour all life in front of it. Chapter 2300. You're deliberately mystifying and blocking my path. Unforgivable. Faced with such a vast aura of death, Yi Chun was enraged. The wrath of the Heavenly Emperor was enough to destroy the world. Buddha Emperor Tablet. Yi Chun tossed out the tablet. Buddha's light shone brightly, purging the vengeful spirits. The tablet was unstoppable. Yi Chun stepped onto the Thousand-Edge Mountain path and walked into the mountain. As he walked into the mountain, the surrounding space suddenly changed rapidly. Time seemed to have stopped. The evening glow disappeared without a trace, leaving only the gray moon hanging in the sky. Although the path before him was illuminated by Buddha's light, it was still dim and lifeless. Relying on the tablet's power, Yi Chun pressed forward and went straight to the source of the aura of death. Another 100 steps, and you'll be crushed. Suddenly, a powerful and intimidating voice came from the depths of the thick fog ahead, stopping Yi Chun. Who's deliberately mystifying? Come out. Yi Chun shouted coldly. With a powerful force, he swept into the depths of the fog. Boom, boom, boom. The shocking explosion was caused by the power of the heavenly dragon's roar. In the depths of the fog, there were continuous explosions, and the aura tumbled. Damn it! With a furious roar, the fog continued to gather and formed the form of a spirit king. You're just a mortal. How dare you anger the spirit king? You're courting death. If you're really the spirit king, you should bow down before the heavenly emperor. What a joke. Die. The spirit king sneered and waved its claws. Boundless aura of death shrouded it, causing the surrounding Thousand-Edge peak to rumble. Countless gravel turned into incomparably sharp blades and attacked Yichun. Yichun took a step forward and stomped on the ground, shaking thousands of miles. His entire body was covered in the black and gold knight demon armor. Clang, clang, clang. With a clang, the stone blades that could penetrate supreme-grade immortal weapons with ghostly aura of death attacked Yichun's body but did not cause any damage. It was like scratching an itch. This was the first time the Spirit King had seen such a scene. He was shocked. This is impossible. Who are you? Although it was formed by the dense mist of death, the expression on the Ghost King's face was very real. He looked at Yichun with a look of horror and disbelief. His crushing stone blade looked simple, but it contained the ghostly aura of death. Even a supreme-grade immortal weapon would shatter, but Yichun had completely blocked it. Are you wearing a heavenly soldier? The gatekeeper Ghost King asked. At least you have some eyesight. This Emperor's knight demon battle armor has ascended many times and is still a high-level heavenly soldier. Damn it, a mere Shin immortal can actually wear a high-level heavenly weapon and not collapse. Who exactly are you? I've told you, Heavenly Emperor Yichun. Boast. The Guardian Ghost King would not allow Yichun to act so presumptuously. He waved his arms and summoned countless death energy to gather. He wanted to use the law of death to completely make Yichun fall into a state of decay. Chi, chi, chi. As the ghostly energy wrapped around his body, Yichun sensed that the knight demon armor was beginning to be corroded by the ghostly energy. Although he was not afraid of the ghostly energy with the black gold glazes, powerful recovery ability, Yifan did not want to waste time. Buddha Emperor, world merciful hands. Boom, boom, boom. The Buddha Emperor's shadow appeared behind Yichun, and a grand hand seal reached out. The Buddha's great mercy released the souls of the dead. The Buddha Emperor's nomological laws were so high that they attracted the worship of thousands of saints. The sky was filled with starlight. It actually broke through the deathly fog and rushed downwards. It pierced through the gatekeeper Ghost King's head. In an instant, the fog dissipated. With a scream, the Ghost King's body dissipated and his primordial spirit was released. After the gatekeeper Ghost King was released, the ground rumbled again. Then, a grand ghost gate rose from the ground. 18 halls of the netherworld. There were 5 big words engraved on the ghost gate. It constantly emitted a strange light that could intimidate one's mind. However, Yichun could see through it at a glance. It was just a mind deterrence law and was not enough. 18 halls. Seeing this title, Yichun understood clearly. If he wanted to truly enter Thousand Blade Peak, the 18 halls before him were the biggest obstacles. Ignorant child, how dare you kill the gatekeeper Ghost King in the netherworld? What punishment do you deserve? At this moment, the voice of judgment came from within the ghost gate. The first hall's Ghost King had appeared. Yichun flew up and rushed into the ghost gate. He saw a Ghost King wearing a yellow robe and holding a deadly steel trident. He was glaring at Yichun with wide eyes. Ha! The Ghost King of the 18 halls is this kind of thing? Yichun asked with a cold smile. Arrogant child, death is a given. The Yiksha Ghost King was furious. He waved the steel trident in his hand like the wind. Suddenly, a ghost storm swept out in the surrounding space, quickly occupying the space, making it impossible for Yichun to dodge. However, he did not know that Yichun did not plan to dodge at all. It seems like the gatekeeper Ghost King's tragic state didn't teach you a lesson. In that case, I don't mind teaching another Ghost King a lesson. Merciful hand of salvation. The grand palm print descended again. The Yiksha Ghost King turned pale with fright. He continued to stir the death energy, and the storm grew larger, with the power to devour heaven and earth. However, before the Buddha Emperor's hand, it could not withstand a single blow and was instantly destroyed. Absorb. Yichun did not refuse. The sky serpent opened its mouth and absorbed all the ghost energy of death. The Buddha's subordinate, the Ghost King, was executed. Yichun forcefully broke through the first stage and walked into the second hall. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As he walked in, he saw endless flames in the blink of an eye. It was like a flaming mountain, burning everything. Those who walked in would even lose their sense of self. Yichun felt that his spirit was beginning to dissipate. It was not that his martial Tao was not strong enough, but the flames here contained a strange law that could decompose mind power. God-killing ghost fire, boundless hell. In the center of the flames, a person sat cross-legged on a ghost platform. His figure was like a Buddha, his ears drooped to his shoulders, and he looked like an angry Asura. There were 6 trains under his feet, constantly spewing tongues of fire, forcing people to become demons. I'm the God-killing Ghost King. Kneel and surrender. God-killing? Ha ha ha. Yichun laughed loudly. What was a god? Geniuses were the only ones. Geniuses were the strongest. Heavenly Emperor's order. Humans sword revolution. With both feet on the ground, Yichun struck with his sword. The revolving sword chi swept through the world. Under the revolving sword chi, endless flames rushed toward the 9 heavens, making way for Yichun. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Yichun stepped on the ground and walked straight forward as if he was entering an uninhabited land. Ha ha, you're powerful indeed, but it's ridiculous to think that you can get past me like this. At this moment, the God-killing Ghost King's body shook, and 6 arms grew out of his back. Each arm grabbed a train. Immediately, the God-killing ghost fire was released without limit. There was a sea of fire in front of him, and Yichun's head was in extreme pain as if it was cracking. The asterisk minute. Chapter 23:01. Facing the endless release of the God-killing demonic flame, Yichun's dragon energy surged. Roar, roar, roar. The true dragon roared, and the dragon energy shield resisted the God-killing demonic flame. However, the demonic flame continued to affect Yichun's primordial spirit through the psyche effect. Reverse revolution. Yichun gathered all the dragon energy in his body and released the most unexpected move. Reverse revolution. All the dragon energy carried the demonic flame and attacked, countering the Ghost King God Slayer's demonic flame. Boom, boom, boom. Demonic flame against demonic flame. Under the 9 heavens, there were endless explosions. In the end, the impact of the demonic flame evolved into a demonic flame gale that swept through the entire space. Not only Yichun, but even the Ghost King Godslayer was affected. Seeing that Yichun did not care about his own safety and continued to release the reverse battle maneuver, it was because he had absolute confidence in his own body refinement. On the other hand, after the demonic flame ultimate technique failed, the Ghost King God Punisher fell into Yichun's crosshairs. You wanted to stir my mind? I'll make you suffer heavenly punishment. Thunder Dragon. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Yichun called out, and the dragon restrained spear flew out. The Thunder Dragon appeared. As the Heavenly Emperor commands, the Thunder Dragon held the dragon restrained spear and floated high in the sky. He waved the spear, and in an instant, the gale of the entire God-killing demonic flame was under his control. It was filled with countless Thunder God avatars, and they all attacked the Ghost King God Slayer. The Ghost King God Slayer completely lost his confidence. He threw away his armor and tried to escape. Blocking this emperor's path, it's too late for you to escape now. The Buddha behind Yichun used the Buddha's hand again. It was like the sky was covered, and the majestic pressure pressed down, instantly grabbing the Ghost King God Slayer. Then, the heavenly snake roared, and the Ghost King God Slayer was swallowed by the heavenly snake, leaving no flesh or blood behind. With a final scream of terror, the Ghost King God Slayer's power disappeared. Withdraw. Then, the Buddha's hand moved again, and all the Ghost King God trains were thrown into the heavenly furnace. After entering the 7th essence in the depths of the netherworld, he used his magical device to search for spirit loads. Eventually, he found the Ghost Forest, which led to the 2nd passageway to the Ghost Gate of Hell. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Summon all the evil generals. Mima, Mima, Mima. The 7th origin began to chant an incantation, unleashing its evil power. Soon, all of the wretched generals were affected by the summoning power and began to rush in the direction of the 7th origin. After passing through the 2nd palace, Yi Chun continued forward and instantly passed through the third palace to the sixth palace. The seventh nether palace. Raising his head, he saw the seventh palace. Open the door. Yi Chun smirked and struck with his palm. It was a palm print that contained powerful ghostly energy. The palm imprint was strengthened by the spiritual essence. With a single palm strike, it was as if 100 palms were bombarding the door. The door of the seventh hall couldn't defend it all. In an instant, countless cracks appeared on its surface. Then it exploded. Behind the door, netherworld energy flooded the place, and the air was thick with ghost energy. Within the thick fog, there seemed to be countless grains of sand surging like waves, unable to be avoided. Yi Chun launched a few more palm strikes, but they were like clay oxen entering the sea. There was no effect at all. Interesting. Yi Chun stepped into such a domain, wanting to experience it for himself. A sense of danger rushed into Yi Chun's head as soon as he stepped in. He stopped immediately, but it was too late. Ha ha ha! Wild laughter came from the hall. Following that, time and space were distorted. Yi Chun's feet were filled with quicksand. As soon as he stepped in, he couldn't escape. His entire body kept sinking downward. Oh, quicksand hell, is this your domain? Ha ha ha. Before this king, quicksand is your destiny. This is your end. The quicksand ghost king held a funnel-like, supersized magic tool in his hand. The world before him had completely turned into a quicksand hell. Here, no one could escape the control of the quicksand. This was the world of quicksand, and the quicksand ghost king was the only ruler. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Countless quicksand carried Yi Chun's figure downward. Yi Chun wanted to jump out of the cage by relying on the space law, but he immediately sensed that in this place, the space had been absolutely distorted and was not under his control. Enter this king's flowing sand realm. The quicksand ghost king's figure transformed, and the image of a giant as large as a mountain appeared in front of Yi Chun. Following that, the giant waved his arm, and his arm suddenly turned into endless quicksand, falling from the sky and pressing heavily on top of Yi Chun's head. It was impossible to resist such a huge pressure in the quicksand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yi Chun's body sank rapidly, but there was still no point to hold on to. Rumble. With a strange sound, Yi Chun felt his vision go black, and he fell into a different space. Following that, a gust of wind blew past. Yi Chun felt his body heat up, and a strong sun appeared in the surrounding space. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Endless light shone, making Yi Chun's body feel like it was being roasted. Looking around, Yi Chun saw quicksand everywhere. It was an endless desert land. The surrounding quicksand was like a python, constantly moving, and the only thing that remained unchanged was the ultra-high temperature in the quicksand. This high temperature constantly roasted the life inside until they died. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Endless blazing wind rushed toward Yi Chun's face, making his body instantly enter a state of dehydration, and it was extremely uncomfortable. Night Demon Battle Armor. Yi Chun released the Night Demon Battle Armor to resist the strong wind in front of him. However, the strong wind could not only melt a person's body, but it could also roast a person's spirit. This seemed to be a common phenomenon in the Nether Palace. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The Night Demon Battle Armor constantly made a burning sound, and Yi Chun could feel the invasion of that ultra-high temperature through the battle armor. This is a little surprising. Is that so? There's more that will surprise you. At this time, above the desert, a huge sand dune kept moving forward, and then it evolved into an incomparably tall giant. It was a transformation of the quicksand ghost king. Thump, thump, thump. As soon as it appeared, the quicksand ghost king did not give Yi Chun any time to breathe, and he bombarded the ground below with countless punches. Following that, the places that were bombarded were like volcanic eruptions. The ground collapsed, the quicksand rolled, and there was no life left. Such a terrifying attack, coupled with the ultra-high temperature of the quicksand prison, made Yi Chun feel a little pressure for the first time. However, this pressure made Yi Chun smile. You're still smiling? You should kneel before me when you're about to die. Ha ha! Quicksand Ghost King, you've worked hard to create such a trial ground for me. I should thank you. Chapter 2302. Test? Boy, you're wrong. In my quicksand prison, there's only eternal death. There's no chance of a test. In the face of Yi Chen's calmness, the quicksand, ghostly king merely regarded it as a bluff. In such an environment, even if Yi Chen was a heavenly immortal, there was no possibility of him escaping. The only ending was death here. You're too hot-tempered. I'll cool you down first. What? Just as the quicksand ghost king was in shock, a grand black tortoise image appeared under Yi Chen's feet. Roar! The heavenly snake black tortoise appeared. Huge waves rolled around the black tortoise as the heavenly snake ingestion erupted at the quicksand ghost king. Inside the black tortoise, there seemed to be an endless ocean with monstrous, unstoppable torrents. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The waves turned into sea dragons and madly attacked the quicksand giant, causing his body to sink into the monstrous power of the waves. The quicksand giant's body began to dissipate, unable to reform at all. For the first time, the quicksand giant truly felt the horror of Yi Chen. Now, he could finally seriously think about how Yi Chen could break through the protection of 6 ghost kings in such a short time and come to him. Such an extraordinary person should not be underestimated by him. Instead, he should regard him as a real opponent. Quicksand sky. Endless waves raged, constantly nibbling away at the quicksand giant, making him extremely angry. The quicksand ghost king released his great divinity, causing the sky to be filled with quicksand. Countless ghostly energy turned into quicksand and fell down in a frenzy, swearing to fill the sea and create land, completely sealing off Yi Chen's monstrous waves. Come at me. With the black tortoise as the base, wind, thunder, rain, Yi Chen reappeared with the might of the 9 levels of Heaven Tao. Together with his thunder god avatar, stormy waves, clouds and rain of the 9 heavens violently crashed into the quicksand world. Floodwaters filled the sky. It was a countermeasure against the quicksand ghost king's divinity. This is impossible. In the quicksand prison, he was the only master. How could someone trigger such monstrous waves here? This was absolutely illogical. The ghost king was terrified and angry. He waved his hand. Suddenly, huge palms continuously stretched out from the ground of the quicksand prison and kept grabbing at Yi Chen. Immortal slaying flying dagger. Yes, master. The immortal slaying flying saber flew out, and the saber beam instantly turned into infinite shadows. The vast saber beam rapidly shattered the giant quicksand hand in front of him. The quicksand ghostly king's great divinity had been broken. In the end, he used the highest temperature in the quicksand prison, hoping to completely crush Yi Chen with the barrier power of the quicksand prison. However, under the guidance of the black tortoise, the high temperature of the quicksand prison had long lost its effect under the towering waves. At this moment, Yi Chen was completely unscathed and would not be attacked by the high temperature at all. He rode the black tortoise and soared into the sky. Wind and thunder move, violent wind and torrential rain conceal the divine might. With the support of the 9 skandhas of the spiritual Buddha, the power of the tempest storm was increased by 100-fold. With its overwhelming power, the quicksand ghostly king's massive body finally could not hold on any longer and collapsed completely. Kacha, 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 as his huge body turned into quicksand and scattered on the ground. The quicksand ghost king completely disappeared from this world. Master has already escaped. What can quicksand prison do? Heavenly dragon's music, break, roar. The 8 dragon chi violently attacked. The illusion before him was like a world of glass. It shattered in the air, and Yi Chen returned to the main hall. Yi Chen, the quicksand ghost king, was right in front of him. His body was covered with a layer of yellow sand. His eyes were empty, as if there was nothing in them. He was staring coldly at Yi Chen, but did not dare to act rashly. After all, the ability that Yi Chen had displayed in the quicksand prison was the ability that could restrain him. Quicksand Ghost King, now do you understand the gap between you and me? Why don't you bow down now? Yi Chen's domineering voice swept across and blasted into the quicksand Ghost King's ears. It was deafening and his body shivered. The quicksand on his body was constantly collapsing and flowing away. Just a single voice had triggered such terrifying power. The Quicksand Ghost King was terrified. He was still only at Yi Chen's strength and was not someone he could afford to offend. If it was not because of the contract with this place, he would never dare to go against such an expert. Yi Chen, I admit that you're very strong, but this is not a place for you. It's better that you leave. Ha ha, your persuasion is useless. Quicksand Ghost King, kneel before me. This is your only way out. You. The Quicksand Ghost King gritted his teeth. He did not expect Yi Chen to make such a request. His legs were trembling and his eyes were constantly moving. Should he do such a thing? Clang. Finally, the Quicksand Ghost King compromised. He had been completely shocked by Yi Chen's black tortoise. The power of the black tortoise was the nemesis of his quicksand prison. If he continued to fight, he would only lose. He could only surrender. The great emperor above, the Quicksand Ghost King Cowhouse. Please have mercy and spare my life. Ha ha ha. Yi Chen laughed and looked at the Quicksand Ghost King. One of the 18 Palace's guardian underworld generals was also so weak. Withdraw your quicksand power. Yes, yes. The Quicksand Ghost King did not dare to act rashly. He could only show his quicksand law, and all of it was absorbed into the ancient god space by Yi Chen. After absorbing the quicksand law, Yi Chen moved his divine consciousness. Suddenly, a path automatically appeared on the quicksand in front of him. Yi Chen stepped on the black tortoise and quickly passed through the quicksand hole. Looking at Yi Chen walking away, the Quicksand Ghost King kept shaking his head. He had already felt the powerful nether divine power from Yi Chen and knew that Yi Chen was already the lord of the underworld. Therefore, there was no point in fighting against Yi Chen. Failure was failure. After passing through the quicksand prison, Yi Chen saw a desolate place. He frowned slightly and glanced around. The land within a radius of 10,000 miles was also desolate. It did not look like one of the 18 palaces of the netherworld at all. What happened? Yi Chen rode on the black tortoise to look at the surrounding scenery. What he saw was the scene left behind after the battle. Someone has been here. This was the only reasonable explanation. However, someone had come here and there was a great battle. It was very likely that the Ghost King guarding this place had died in the hands of the person who rushed in. This made Yi Chen reconsider whether there was such a coincidence in this world or if there were others who already knew about the six-stage spirit vein. Naturally, they would not want to resurrect Duguan. They could only use the spirit vein to dominate the 6 realms. It's only interesting if there's an opponent. Since someone had broken into the 18 palaces, time became tight. He must not let the spirit realm of the underworld fall into the hands of others. This was not only related to Dugu Wan Er's resurrection, but also related to Yi Chen's ambition to unify the 6 realms. Go, Black Tortoise! Roar! The Black Tortoise increased its speed and continued to charge. Soon, it rushed through the 8th palace and then the 5th palace in one go. Yi Chen stopped in his tracks. He clearly felt an unusual surge of power. Just as he sensed it, his body suddenly lost its strength. Then, together with the Black Tortoise, he was dragged into another space. Chapter 2303. It changes every 7 days. After Yi Chen opened his eyes, he realized that he was already in the 13th hall. A blinding light blinded him, and the pain made him close his eyes immediately. Then, he relied on his senses to obtain information. His divine power sensed that there were many golden mirrors around him, blinding him. Golden light hell. The 3 words automatically entered Yi Chen's mind. After sensing the surroundings, Yi Chen sensed a total of 18 golden mirrors, all of which were emitting corrosive light. Although he closed his eyes, the night demon armor could not hold on for long under the golden light. The only way was to break this formation, or he would die. Azura heaven-shaking kill. He used his ultimate move and punched with his palm. Powerful divine power went straight for the golden mirrors. Zap, zap, zap. However, when these powers were hit by Yi Chen's divine power, they were useless. The divine power was even reflected by the mirrors and returned to Yi Chen. Yi Chen waved his hand. A dark vortex appeared, and his divine power returned. The light continued to shine. Although the night demon armor had ascended several times, it was still powerless against such terrifying power. Master, I can't hold on much longer. Don't worry, I'm thinking. Yes. The night demon armor fused with the regeneration power of the darkness pool and continued to repair itself, resisting the golden lights. Just as both sides were in a stalemate, Yichin suddenly sensed a new life form in this space. This person was not a spirit king, but an immortal world cultivator. Someone from the primordial world? So what if I am? The person responded disdainfully, not bothering to hide it. Yichin could sense that this person had opened his eyes. Under the golden light mirror's illumination, this person was not afraid of the mirror's damage to his eyes. Golden light mirror, soul-devouring bone. Why don't we work together to break this formation? Yi-chan asked with a smile. Don't think I don't know who you are. You're the heavenly emperor Yi-chan that the primordial world fears. This time, I was ordered by Ling Huang to find the secrets of the underworld. I didn't expect to find such a secret place. Here, I can use a secret technique to maintain myself, but you can only die. When the time comes, I'll make a great contribution. What method do you have to resist the golden light mirror? It's the supreme grade immortal artifact, Mirror of Darkness. Mirror of Darkness? Yi-chan did not expect the primordial immortal world to have such a treasure. Sensing this person's actions, it was clear that the Mirror of Darkness had a strong restraining effect on the golden light mirror. It could even absorb the golden light for its own use. It was not surprising that it could resist the golden light formation. Although you can resist the golden light, you won't be able to break the golden light array with your strength. You will eventually be trapped here. You're a smart person, so you should know this, right? So what? Ling Huang and the demon martial world are working together and have already descended into the spiritual realm. How long do you think the Netherworld battle mansion and the Netherworld can last? After you die, I'll send a message to Ling Huang to save me. How naive. Yi-chan shook his head lightly. Subsequently, a spatial door with a strong wind suddenly appeared in the space. The Golden Light Ghost King had arrived. The Golden Light Ghostly King let out a maniacal laugh. Instantly, the entire Golden Light design changed again. All the Golden Light mirrors shone towards the primordial immortal empire experts. Although the Mirror of Darkness was absorbing the Golden Light, as the number of Golden Light mirrors increased, the Mirror of Darkness was obviously unable to withstand it. The primordial immortal empire powerhouse revealed a look of fear. The Golden Light Ghost King's strength was extraordinary. It was obvious that he could not resist it with his own strength. Once all the Golden Light mirrors attacked him, even with the Mirror of Darkness, he would still die here. He turned to look at Yi-chan. At this moment, Yi-chan was sitting cross-legged in the air, resting with his eyes closed. He did not care about the existence of the Golden Light mirrors at all. Such carefree behavior shocked the powerhouse. Indeed, hearing about Yi-chan was not as good as seeing him in person. Yi-chan's behavior shocked him greatly. Golden Light Fusion Destroy. In a trance, the Golden Light Ghost King triggered the 9 Golden Light mirrors to shine at the same time. Instantly, heaven and earth dimmed and the stars sank. Golden light filled the sky with infinite power. The powerful Golden Light Fusion shone over. The immortal world powerhouse could only use the Mirror of Darkness to forcefully resist it. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The moment the two forces collided, the Mirror of Darkness could not withstand the power of the Golden Light. The powerhouse's figure was directly sent flying, and the Mirror of Darkness fell from his hand. Yi-chen's eyes and hands were sharp. With the star-plucking palm, the Mirror of Darkness instantly fell into his hand. The immortal world powerhouse prostrated on the ground, blood dripping from his body. He glared at Yi-chan with a look of anger. However, after receiving such a strong attack from the Golden Light, how could he still have the ability to take back the Mirror of Darkness? His life had come to an end. Die! The Golden Light Ghost King roared angrily. 6 beams of golden light attacked at the same time. The powerhouse could not resist it even if he channeled all the immortal force in his body and exploded on the spot. Blood exploded, and no bones were left. The Golden Light Ghost King looked at Yi Chun with a sneer as if he wanted to intimidate Yi Chun. However, what he saw was that Yi Chun was observing and studying the mirror of darkness. He did not even look at the Golden Light Ghost King. How could the Golden Light Ghost King accept such a scene? How dare you? How dare you act so recklessly in front of me? Die. 6 beams of golden light attacked Yi Chun, but Yi Chun held the mirror of darkness in his hand. With the support of divine power, he blocked the attack in front of him. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The golden light bombarded the mirror of darkness, but it was reflected instantly. It did not cause any damage at all. The 6 reflected golden lights went straight for the Ghost King. What? The Golden Light Ghost King turned pale with fright. 6 beams of golden light were no small matter. Even if he was the master of golden light, he did not dare to be careless. Go! The Golden Light Ghost King activated the 6 beams of golden light again. The reflected golden lights collided with each other to resolve the crisis before him. He looked at Yi Chun coldly with 100 question marks in his mind. He said, "Brat, how can you use this lousy mirror to resist my 6 beams of golden light? That brat from before couldn't do it all." Hearing such questions, Yi Chun said with a smile, "Huh, how did that person know the true power of the mirror of darkness? This is a heavenly treasure that only hides its brilliance. Once it's supported by divine power, its attributes will erupt. Not to mention 6 beams of golden light. Even if there are 18 beams of golden light, I'm not afraid. D***. How could the Golden Light Ghost King let it go after being looked down upon by Yi Chun? The 18 beams of golden light appeared behind him at the same time. Immediately, the power in his body was fully exerted. The surrounding space began to melt under the 18 beams of golden light, falling into a hellish state. Even incomparably hard rocks would turn into charred powder. Yi Chun tossed the mirror of darkness. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The mirror of darkness floated under the 8 gates of judgment. The 8 gates of judgment opened at the same time, and divine power was infused into the mirror of darkness. Following that, a shocking change occurred. The mirror of darkness slowly approached the divine disk. Finally, the mirror of darkness merged with the divine disk. At the end of the dark light era, dark energy soared into the sky. Chapter 23:04. Roar. Dragons roared, and the sky changed color. Yi Chun activated the creation rule and merged the mirror of darkness into the 8 gates divine disk, evolving the 8 dragon demon vanquishing mirror. Golden Light Ghost King, I've created this mirror so that you'll never be able to catch up to me and understand how small you are. Yi Chun held the demon vanquishing mirror in his hand. The Heavenly Emperor's shadow appeared behind him, majestic and majestic. Brat, you're too full of yourself. The 18 golden light mirrors will destroy you. The 18 golden light mirrors behind the Golden Light Ghost King radiated at the same time, evolving the Ghost King's supreme power. The surrounding space could not withstand the power and collapsed instantly. Rumble, kacha, kacha, kacha. As the entire space collapsed, the 13th Nether Palace instantly disappeared. Both of them stood in the air at the same time. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Both of their mirrors were raised to their strongest power. The demon vanquishing mirror and the golden light mirror were fighting to the death. Yi Chun's eyes flickered with darkness. On the demon vanquishing mirror, various elemental energies were rapidly colliding and evolving. The power of the divine disk harmonized, and the energy of the 8 dragons roared to the 9 heavens. Lightning struck, turning the world upside down and destroying all living beings. 8 demon vanquishing mirror, dark dragon annihilation lightning. Roar. In the demon vanquishing mirror, 8 dragons danced and emerged from the 9 heavens. Dark energy soared into the sky as the god of the underworld descended, transforming into the most powerful destructive power and charging at the Golden Light Ghost King. At the same time, The golden light Ghost King's 18 golden light mirrors shone at the same time, transforming into the most powerful melting power, refining everything. Rumble. The sky shook and the 9 provinces moved. The destructive light caused the sun and moon to sink. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Endless lava and black gold flowed. Raging waves crashed against the shore. The void was like a sea of flames, boundless torrents filling the world. Yi Chen's entire body was covered in the night demon armor, black gold glazed, and 8 dragons' protection. Only the power of the 3 ultimate guardians could stop the damage from the impact. The Golden Light Ghost King was not as lucky. Yi, Fan. The last 2 words were uttered. His entire body was refined by the impact of the lava. Only then would there be nothing left. Sky-devouring mirror. Yi Chun used the firmament-devouring power again. The cores of the 18 golden mirrors would not go to waste and were all devoured by the demon-vanquishing mirror. After absorbing the power of the 18 golden light mirrors, the demon-vanquishing mirror power soared. Go! It was not advisable to stay in this land of destruction for long. With a wave of his hand, Yi Chen opened a space passage and jumped in. Following that, the entire space of the 13 palaces crumbled into nothingness. The might of such a grand battle had not only caused the 13 palaces to completely collapse, it had also affected the 14th palace, the 15th palace, and even the 16th palace. The space between the 3 halls was completely shattered by the explosion of the lava and the power of the universe. The ghost kings of the 3 halls appeared at the same time. He has the power of a human and broke through the space barrier of 3 halls. The 14th palace's blood snap, ghostly king, stood up and roared. The golden light ghost king's aura has disappeared. Looks like there really is an expert invading. The 15th palace iron tree, ghost king said. In the end, a person walked out from the darkness. He was 10 meters tall and had 2 horns on his head. His entire body was covered in black scales, and he had 6 arms and 8 legs. He was extremely terrifying. It was precisely the Ghost Bull King. 3 great Ghost Kings appeared at the same time. This was an unprecedented formation that no one could surpass. Now that the 14th, 15th, and 16th palaces have all collapsed, the 3 of us have appeared here and contributed to the success of one of the palaces. This is a rare occurrence. If the person who killed the Golden Light Ghost King enters this place, I really feel sorry for him. Looks like he doesn't dare to come. No. The Ghost Bull King crossed his arms over his chest. His eyes were bloodshot. Within the bloodshot light was a person riding on a golden-winged rock. The rock roared and the hurricane howled. Heavenly Emperor Yi Chun had barged into the tiger's den, the land of 3 kings. At this time, the tremors here also affected the second to last hall, the Poison Dragon Hall. Whoosh! In the dark palace, green poison suddenly exploded and spread everywhere, devouring the surrounding land. Oh, such a temper, vicious indeed. Suddenly, a voice rang out. The Poison Dragon King opened his eyes slightly, and a figure was reflected in his green eyes. It was the 7th origin. Evil spirit. The Poison Dragon King rose to his feet, towering like a mountain as he spread his wings, towering over the 7th origin. However, the 7th origin chuckled coldly, not flustered in the slightest. He was now certain that Yi Chun was being held back by the 3rd Court Ghost King. All he had to do was defeat the Poison Dragon King, and then kill the final Ghost King, and he would be able to acquire the Underworld Spirit Vein. To an evil spirit, that would be a great honor, and he would not fail. Puny Poison Dragon, how dare you act so presumptuously in front of the source of evil spirits? You'll die a horrible death. The Poison Dragon King spat out a mouthful of poison. It was as if heaven and earth were being attacked by a flood, terrifying and unstoppable. In the outside world, guarded by the 3 kings, someone actually dared to barge in. It was Heavenly Emperor Yi Chun. Someone really came. Wonderful, wonderful. The Blood Break Ghost King roared. How many years had it been since someone had barged in? Who would have thought that someone would still come under the 3 kings' guard? This showed that this person was extremely confident in his own strength. Roar, roar, roar. The great golden-winged rock swept across 3,000 miles and landed. Yichen looked at the three kings below with a hint of interest. He did not expect the 8-division heavenly dragon demon taming mirror to be so powerful. It directly split the space between the three palaces and the three kings appearing at the same time. This was going to be a good show. Brat, count down 120 times, and I might leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, my teeth will definitely crush your flesh and bones. Hee hee. The one walking in front was the Bloodbreak Ghost King. He was a ghost king with the head of a wolf and the body of a human. The corner of his mouth revealed the gleam of his sharp teeth. In his blood-red eyes, there was an incomparable desire for Yichen. Fresh blood was what he should taste. Do you know who I am? Yichen asked. No, Bloodbreak Ghost King replied. I'm the Dark Lord Hades, the master of the underworld. Why are you disobeying the Dark Lord Hades' orders? Oh, the Dark Lord Hades? Iron Tree King. Since when did the underworld have such a title? The Bloodbreak Ghost King asked the Iron Tree King. The Iron Tree King touched his head and shook his head slightly, indicating that he had never heard of it. A bunch of old farts. It looks like you've been squatting here for too long. You need me to loosen your bones. Yichen did not want to waste time, but the three kings before him, whether it was in terms of lineup or battle intent, it was obvious that they would not let him go. After all, guarding the spirit vein was too important. No one would listen to his orders. Hee hee, little fellow, are you very noisy? Then let this king pull out your tendons and peel off your skin. The Bloodbreak Ghost King let out a sinister laugh. Sharp claws appeared in his hands and aimed at Yichen. Since that's the case, I'll let you see the golden light, Ghost King's golden light mirror first. As he spoke, Yichen took out the demon taming mirror and shone it at the sky. Immediately, 6 golden light mirrors condensed in midair and aimed at the Bloodbreak Ghost King. End of this chapter. Chapter 23:05. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the sky, the Bloodbreak Ghost King moved like a ghost. His figure moved without blinking. During these illusions, Yichen was unable to determine the location of his true body. There were even countless illusionary phantoms appearing along the way. These phantoms were all cast in the color of blood, which was the Blood Snap Ghost King's life force. Yichen felt as if he was surrounded by bloody shadows. This kind of chi had never happened before. In the face of such an urgent situation, Yichen remained calm. There was no East Palace in this world that could make him completely lose control. This was the Heavenly Emperor's will that had always accompanied him. He was besieged by the bloody shadows and lost the position of the Bloodbreak Ghostly King. Behind him was the Iron Tree Ghostly King and the Ghostly Bull King, who were staring at him with interest. They wanted to see what kind of itch would happen to him under such circumstances. After all, after being sealed for so many years, they could see an outsider break into the Ghost King Palace. This was a miracle. To them, this was a chance to prove that they still existed. They had stayed in this place for too long and had almost lost all sense of time, causing them to forget who they were. Now that someone had barged in, it made them understand that they were one of the protectors of the 18 palaces, and what they were protecting was the spirit veins of the underworld. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The ghostly shadows overlapped, and the bloody lights scattered. The Bloodbreak Ghost King's figure still did not appear, but the bloody shadows could not hold back their ferocity. They exploded with terrifying tearing power. They were like starving wolves and wild dogs. They did not care what was in front of them. Eating was their nature. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless bloody claws attacked Yichen. The density of these claws was enough to send shivers down one's spine. The only thing that could be seen was the glow of blood. It was unknown whether this was caused by the claws or the bloody shadows themselves. No one could tell how bizarre the attacks of these bloody shadows were. Even a heavenly immortal would not be able to dodge them. Ha ha ha! Cold laughter came from all directions. This was the voice of the Bloodbreak Ghost King. However, the source of the voice was vague and unclear. It cannot be traced back to him. The killing light was right in front of him. Countless bloody shadows surrounded Yichen and bit at him. 10,000 miles thunder. Just when the sharp claws were about to sweep Yi Chen's cheek, the dragon-taming spear suddenly appeared. 10,000 miles thunder, invincible universe. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The violent heavenly Tao, divine, lightning instantly swept away the filth in front of them. All the blood shadows seemed to have been electrocuted. Their screams were like the terrified cries of evil spirits from hell. Countless blood shadows were destroyed by the lightning and dissipated. You dare to be so arrogant in front of this emperor with such puny tricks? If the Annihilation Ghostly King doesn't show his true strength, he will die. What did you say? The Demon King of Annihilation appeared angrily. He was completely enraged by Yi Chen. As the guardian of the 14th palace, he was one of the most powerful ghost kings. How could he tolerate Yi Chen's mockery? Go! Without another word, Yi Chen attacked with the dragon restraining spear again. Thunder struck the Ghost King. Duan Mie panicked even more when he saw this. Life-severing destruction. The Annihilation Ghostly King waved his claws, and a pair of ghostly claw gloves appeared on his hands. Clang, clang, clang. The Ghost King of Annihilation kept waving his ghost-clawed gauntlet and unleashed countless crimson rays that bombarded the lightning, blocking the waves of lightning. However, when he looked up, Yi Chen was already 1,000 feet away. The Ghost King of Annihilation shuddered at Yi Chen's stealthy way of advancing. He was very confident in his speed, but the person before him seemed to be as fast as him. In fact, the person before him was faster than him. Swoosh! With a flash of light, Yi Chen's spear appeared in front of the Ghost King's forehead. Clang! The ghostly claw swung and blocked the spear's edge. However, such a dangerous situation actually happened. This made the Annihilation Ghostly King feel that his strength was suppressed. Kill! With a strong rebound, the Annihilation Ghostly King activated the supreme underworld energy, stirring up waves and stirring up the wind and clouds again. Boom, boom, boom. All the space before him exploded. Wuji! Ha ha ha, Yi Chen, are you dead? The Annihilation Ghostly King laughed wildly. He was very confident about the power of the attack. If the opponent was not prepared, he would definitely die. Suddenly, a cold figure appeared high in the sky, looking at him with disdain. You! The Annihilation Ghostly King knew that he was fooled. Yi Chen was not hurt at all. He turned around and flew up. Waving his ghostly claw, he charged at Yi Chen with the power that could tear a mountain apart. Clang, clang, clang. In the blink of an eye, the two sides clashed for 100 times. Sparks flew, lightning flashed, and ghostly shadows appeared. Annihilation Tear. The Ghost King attacked furiously. Countless ghostly claws turned into life-reaping light and attacked Yi Chen in a frenzy, trying to tear Yi Chen's body apart. The space before him shattered rapidly. The hurricane raged, and thousands of mountains shattered. Night Demon Battle Armor. Yi Chen wore the Night Demon Battle Armor and held the dragon clamping spear in his hand. Thunder rumbled all over his body as his divine power exploded. In the blink of an eye, countless ghostly claws attacked. Yi Chen waved his spear, and 8 dragon energy rushed out at the same time, blasting a way out. He flew up and waved his spear, condensing the power of 9 Thunder God and the Thunder Dragon Sovereign's own law light. He attacked. Universe quake. Rumble. The majestic power concentrated and broke through the bloody light of thousands of ghostly claws and rushed at the Annihilation Ghostly King. The Ghost King turned pale with fright. All the ghostly claws retreated and guarded in front of the Annihilation Ghostly King. However, the power of Yi Chen's attack was too strong. It had a 9-stage astral core and was powerful. The majestic power was like the world was overturned, drowning the Annihilation Ghostly King. The Ghost King trembled in shock. Its body could not resist, and it was directly knocked down from the sky. Such a scene shocked the 24 Ghost Kings behind. They thought that Yi Chen was no match for the Annihilation Ghostly King at all and would soon be defeated. However, it was the Annihilation Ghostly King who was knocked down. What was going on? A minute. The Iron Tree King opened his eyes and punched. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The fist gleam hit the air and turned into countless sword chi. Such a divine power was strange and unpredictable. Even Yi-Chun was surprised. Dragon Energy Shield. Yi-Chun quickly used the Dragon Energy Shield to protect himself. The majestic dragon energy formed a super protective formation 10 meters in front of him to resist the attack of thousands of sword chi. A figure rushed out of the mist. It was the Iron Tree King. His body was covered with reverse scales and barbs, all made of steel. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These reverse scales and barbs attacked automatically, all turning into sword chi. Such divine telekinesis controlled the sword with endless power. I can play with this. Facing the powerful Iron Tree King, Yi-Chun only smiled slightly, thinking that he could have some fun. Chapter 23:06. Kill. The Iron Tree King spun his body. All the steel spikes on his body stood up and turned into endless sword chi that charged at Yi-Chun. The attack this time was more powerful than before. Cracks appeared on Yi-Chun's dragon energy shield. Yi-Chun, I'll make you pay for underestimating me. I like to see what kind of price you can make me pay. Yi-Chun turned around and threw a punch. It charged at the Iron Tree King with the power of thunder. The latter frowned, and a heavy sword appeared in his hand. As the blade turned, Yi-Chun felt an unprecedented majestic sword chi. It resonated with the surroundings, and countless sword gleams gathered. Haha, I'll let you have a taste of my Iron Tree Sword of Judgment. The Iron Tree King yelled. The heavy sword had no edge. The universe was boundless, and the sword was unconventional. The heavy sword slashed down. Yi-Chun felt the entire sky descending. It instantly crushed his lightning fist gleam and came at his face. There was a furious roar. 8 Dragon's voice rebounded, but Yi-Chun did not move at all. He relied on the dragon energy rebounding to shatter the heavy sword chi. Such a powerful stance shocked the Iron Tree King. Naturally, he knew the power of this attack. It was enough to kill a heavenly immortal. However, Yi-Chun relied on his dragon energy rebounding. How confident was he in his defense? It seems like I'll have to take you seriously. The Iron Tree King looked at Yi-Chun again with a serious expression. You're still far from being acknowledged by me with such a sharp sword. Iron Tree King, I think you should get the person behind you to help you. Yi-Chun glanced at the Ghost Bull King behind him. The moment their eyes met, waves of profound aura collided. Even the Iron Tree King could feel the collision of the aura. It was as if heaven and earth were being split apart. It was lawless. The Iron Tree King, who was sandwiched between 2 powerhouses, instantly felt endless pressure. However, he could not leave. For the glory of the Ghost King bloodline and the determination to reclaim glory for the King of Annihilation, he had to hold on. Iron Tree blossoms. Suddenly, the Iron Tree King roared. The surrounding space instantly fell into the Iron Tree realm. He used the moment when Yi-Chun and the Ghost Bull King relaxed to activate his territory. Chi chi chi. The Iron Tree barrier extended wildly. Taking advantage of the geographical advantage, it soon trapped Yi-Chun within. Sword chi surged in the surroundings as the Iron Tree grew endlessly. Each branch grew a new sword chi law to trap Yi-Chun's movements. It was to trap Yi-Chun inside Sister Tai's shoe. Once Yi-Chun's limbs were trapped, the advantage of the heavy sword would be revealed. This was the Iron Tree King's plan. What kind of person was Yi-Chun? He could see through the Iron Tree King's scheme at a glance. However, his momentary distraction had given the Iron Tree King a chance. Yi-Chun did not care because he needed this kind of trial. Iron Tree King, don't disappoint me in the Iron Tree Law realm. Ha ha ha. Yi-Chun brat, I'll show you the true meaning of hell. Iron Tree Hell. Drawing upon the supreme might of the Dharma realm, the Iron Tree King released his own laws of sword energy and blood, causing the Dharma realm to ascend and evolve into the Iron Tree Hell world. Kacha, kacha, kacha. Countless iron trees burst out of the ground, shattering the massive rocks and breaking through many peaks. They were like living steel, constantly extending themselves, and the direction they extended was with Yi-Chun as the center. Of course, Yi-Chun would not sit and wait for death. He brandished the spear in his hand, and a spear gleam swept out in all directions. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These spear gleams triggered a whirlwind of divine power, wanting to sweep through the area and break these iron trees. It was successful in the beginning. Many iron trees were broken by this whirlwind of divine power, but soon the iron trees bloomed and grew again. This was how an indestructible barrier worked. Ha ha ha! At this moment, the Ghost King of Annihilation laughed out loud. Yi-chun, you can break through my blood shadow Dharma realm, but you can't break through the Iron Tree King's Iron Tree Hell. Kneel and surrender now. How dare a loser talk nonsense? Go! Yi-chun looked to the side. Suddenly, a sword gleam shot out from between his brows. It was like a meteor chasing the moon. It was extremely fast and instantly interrupted the Ghost King of Annihilation. With that, the Ghost King of Annihilation felt his spirit scatter, and he was in extreme pain. It turned out that when the sword gleam entered his brain, it had instantly swept through his entire brain, causing him to fall into boundless madness. No. The Ghost King of Annihilation tried to regain his senses, but it was too late. Yi-chun's divine telekinesis manipulation sword had turned his mind upside down, causing him to completely lose control of himself. Ghost King of Annihilation. The Iron Tree King shouted, but the Ghost King of Annihilation did not respond. It was obvious that the Ghost King of Annihilation's origin energy had been severed by Yi-chun's sword, and he had fallen into a state of confusion. At this moment, the Ghost Bull King crossed his arms in front of his chest with a solemn expression. He did not expect Yi-chun to be so powerful that he, who originally had no intention of fighting, became interested. After all, if even the Iron Tree King failed, he could protect the final glory. Ghost Bull King, save the Ghost King of Annihilation. There's no need to save a piece of trash like him. You'd better kill this person quickly. Otherwise, both of you will be the sinners of the 18 palaces and will not be forgiven. You. The Iron Tree King looked at the Ghost Bull King coldly, but now was not the time to bicker with him. Only by defeating Yi-chun could he protect the 18 palaces' glory. Iron Tree Halberd. At the command, the boundless land grew wildly. Sword gleams whistled and halberds appeared. Anyone within would die. Seeing countless sword mistresses growing from the iron tree below, Yi-chun suddenly tossed the Holy Monument. Buddha Emperor Holy Monument. The Holy Monument instantly transformed from a 3-inch object into a towering pagoda that was as large as a mountain. Suppress. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The Holy Monument was guided by Yi-chun's command and emitted a supreme Buddha light. It was the Buddha Emperor's law. The Buddha light was vast and mighty, shaking the world. The halberds that attacked Yi-chun earlier shattered when they came into contact with the Buddha light. Moreover, the Holy Monument suppression was even more powerful. The Iron Tree Dharma realm was restrained. Impossible. Seeing that his Dharma realm was restrained by the Buddha Emperor Holy Monument and could not be used, the Iron Tree King fell into despair. Trash. The Ghost Bull King cursed. He had no choice but to attack. Yi-chun turned around and stared at the Ghost Bull King. This person's strength was far above the Iron Tree King and the King of Annihilation. It would not be easy to defeat this person. Moreover, from Yi-chun's perspective, there were still 2 more palaces. It would be an even more tragic battle. He had to conserve his strength. Ghost Bull King, you've finally attacked. This is also your last act of arrogance. Yi-chun, if I attack, it means your death. The Ghost Bull King's eyes flashed with blood-red light. Instantly, his 6 arms and 8 legs moved at the same time. The surrounding space rapidly changed. The space-time distortion caused by the 3 palaces' destruction gathered toward the Ghost Bull King and extended. Chapter 2307. The Holy Monument had been activated and the Iron Tree Dharma realm was completely suppressed by Yi-chun. The Ghost Bull King could not bear to watch any longer. He did not want to waste any more time here because he had already sensed the sounds of battle from the 17th palace. The intensity of the battle there was not inferior to this one at all. In fact, it might even be stronger. In the face of such a unique situation, he could not bear it any longer. Originally, The 18 palaces did not interact with each other. However, Yi Chun had caused too much of a commotion in the 13 palaces, breaking the spatial barrier. Now that the 3 kings had appeared in the same palace at the same time, they had broken the rules. Their ultimate mission was to guard the spirit vein. Now that so many people were interested in the spirit vein, the Guardians no longer needed these decadent boundaries. Naturally, the Iron Tree King had also sensed the situation in the 17th palace. They had to quickly finish off Yi Chun and head to the 17th palace. You guys seem to be very anxious. Meanwhile, Yi Chun keenly noticed these flaws. With a single sentence, he provoked the Iron Tree King and the Ghost Bull King's intense fighting spirit. Yi Chun, you're too arrogant and condescending. You'll be consigned to eternal damnation. The Iron Tree King roared. Ha ha ha, little human, you're so confident. I'm surprised, but everything is coming to an end. I'm going to clean up the mess. The Ghost Bull King sneered and waved his 6 arms. Immediately, 6 devil weapons appeared in his 6 hands. Go! He waved his hand forward, and a saber, a sword, and a gourd flew out at the same time, staring at the Buddha-light sacred steel. Yi Chun scanned the 3 demonic weapons in front of him and found that they were all supreme-grade immortal weapons. All 3 of them had locked onto the holy monument at the same time, causing the holy monument to feel immense pressure. Immortal slaying flying saber, heavenly the arch sword. Naturally, he would not let the other party have their way. The immortal slaying flying saber and the heavenly the arch sword were unsheathed and suspended in mid-air, guarding the sage monument. Clang, clang, clang. Instantly, the 6 divine weapons clashed against each other. The scene was so grand that it didn't lose out to a battle of life and death between powerhouses. Such a scene was soul-stirring and crazy. Nice! Yi Chun realized that it was a good opportunity to train himself as he faced 2 kings at the same time. He chanted the Buddhist Emperor Confusion mantra, and the 9 heavenly Taoists appeared. Z, Z, Z. Countless heavenly Tao and Buddhist chants persisted on the sage monument. The sage monument shone brightly and nourished the immortal slaying flying saber and the heavenly the arch sword. Immediately, the 2 divine weapons' powers multiplied. Clang, clang, clang. In the clash of the divine weapons, the immortal slaying flying saber and the celestial the arch sword clearly had the upper hand. The Ghost Bull King's 3 devil weapons were restricted, which triggered the wrath of the Ghost King. He stretched out his 6 arms and released all 6 of his devil weapons. In an instant, ghostly wails and wolf howls resounded, and the sky darkened. This was the sign of an aura of death sweeping across. Ha! Profound sword, wandering dragon sword. Yi Chun was not to be outdone. 2 heavenly soldiers appeared again, giving him an even greater advantage. With the support of the holy tablet's Buddha light, the 4 heavenly soldiers suppressed the 6 demonic soldiers. Z, Z, Z. The outcome of the battle between the divine weapons had been decided. Yi Chun had the upper hand as the Ghost Bull King's 6 demonic weapons had been defeated. Iron Tree King go. All right. The Iron Tree King had been preparing for a long time. When he felt that the time was right, he swung his heavy sword once more. Edgeless heavy sword, sky-piercing slash. Boom! Above the 9 heavens, between the layers of clouds, the shadow of an extremely powerful heavy sword slashed down. The majestic sword gleam could surpass the limits of time and space. It arrived before Yi Chun in an instant. It was insufferably arrogant. Ha ha ha, Yi Chun, you're dead. Seeing that Yi Chun was being restrained by the Ghost Bull King, the Iron Tree King used all his strength to slash down, vowing to kill him. Just as the majestic sword gleam was about to slash down on Yi Chun's head, a majestic figure appeared behind him. It was a 3-star ancient god. Clang! The ancient god stretched out his arms and put his palms together. He caught the white blade with his bare hands and controlled the descending sword gleam from the sky. What? The Iron Tree King was incomparably shocked. His ultimate heavy sword was blocked by Yi Chun. What exactly was this majestic figure before him? Why did it have such unshakable power? Before the ancient god, the Iron Tree King felt how insignificant he was and how unfathomable the entire world was. Unparalleled ancient god, smelt. With a single thought, a majestic heavenly furnace appeared behind the ancient god. On his arms, molten lava from the heavenly furnace was drawn, constantly corroding the heavenly sword gleam from his arms. In the blink of an eye, the huge sword gleam was corroded by the heavenly furnace until nothing was left. Swish, swish, swish. The sword gleam disappeared, and the crisis was resolved. The Iron Tree King was completely stunned. How could there be such a powerful person? He was only a mystic immortal. How could he be like a god? The Ghost Bull King sighed deeply. His body was also growing rapidly. In less than half an hour, the Ghost Bull King's body was as vast as a mountain as he charged toward the 3-star ancient god. Clang! The ancient god stretched out his arm to block the Ghost Bull King's attack. However, the Ghost Bull King's 6 arms attacked at the same time, making it impossible for the ancient god to dodge. Dai Yichun! The Ghost Bull King released countless fist gleams, wanting to crush Yichun. At this moment, sensing that Yichun was in danger, the heavenly snake Black Tortoise appeared again. Raging waves, Black Tortoise armor. Countless waves turned into the Black Tortoise armor, blocking in front of the ancient god, completely nullifying the Ghost Bull King's attack. The asterisk imminent. The Ghost Bull King cursed. He began to gather energy in his mouth, preparing to shoot the death ray nether energy wave. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Seeing that the huge, basin-like mouth was about to unleash the ultimate destructive power, Yichun's brows were cold. He used the 3-star ancient god's ultimate ability. Die. The Ghost Bull King used the ultimate nether energy wave. The nether energy wave could not be stopped. It broke through all obstacles and reached Yichun. 3-star ancient god, 8 trigrams reversal. Just when the Ghost Bull King thought that Yichun was dead, Yichun used the 3-star ancient god's ultimate technique. The death ray nether energy wave was multiplied and returned. The Ghost Bull King's eyes widened. He did not expect Yichun to have such a move. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Boom, boom, boom. Under the bombardment of the nether energy wave, the Ghost Bull King's huge body collapsed. His entire body was bleeding, but he did not look. This was the consequence of going against Yichun. Seeing that even the Ghost Bull King had failed, the Iron Tree King was terrified. Should he continue to fight? Get out of my way. Yichun roared. The Iron Tree King knelt on the ground, not daring to move. As for the Ghost Bull King, because it was too heavily injured, it could not continue to stop Yichun. Riding the Black Tortoise, Yichun broke through the restraints of the 3 kings and walked toward the second-to-last palace. In the 17th palace, the battle was unusually tense. The 7th source released the source's mutated power, and the poisonous dragon Ghost King used the terrain advantage to forcefully block it. Boom, boom, boom. The power of both sides intersected and exploded, causing the peaks to collapse. The battle had reached a climax. Chapter 2308. Yichun steered the Black Tortoise through the spatial barrier and into the outskirts of the 17th palace. What he saw was a sea of poison churning and the sun and moon dimming. The space around him had been completely shattered by the 7th origin, and the Dragon King's venom domain had already spread out like an ocean. Although the 7th origin was strong, it could not break through. After all, the poison was too strong for it to enter. You people who want to obtain the spiritual vein are destined to rot in my sea of venom. Sensing Yichun's approach, the Poison Dragon King unleashed its ultimate venom. PSSSD, PSSSD, PSSSD. Endless amounts of venom surged up from the ground, spraying in all directions. The venom fused with the venom domain, making anyone within it feel as if they were being stabbed in the back. Roar! Sensing the invasion of the powerful venom, the Black Tortoise roared and used the Dragon Energy Shield and Water Shield to resist the venom. The 7th origin also sensed Yichun's presence and smirked. Celestial Emperor Yichun, we meet again. Seventh origin, I didn't think that the evil spirits would want the spirit vein of the underworld. The spirit vein is birthed by heaven and earth. Anyone can have it. Letting it fall into the hands of the evil spirits is the greatest glory. The seventh origin was determined to get its hands on Zero. It had already sent a message through the mutated power of the evil spirit fountainhead. As soon as the sixth origin received the message, it would naturally take action. All he had to do was hold them off until reinforcements arrived. What he did not know was that the abyss of evil spirits was currently in dire straits. The arrival of the Darkness Emperor and Ling Huang had increased the pressure on the sixth origin. Invading the abyss of evil spirits is no different from seeking death. The magical martial world and the primordial immortal world will be destroyed. Although the sixth origin was facing two experts, its momentum was still formidable. As one of the upper middle powers of the origin, it had to hold its own against these two and show the other factions the might of the origin. PSSSD, PSSSD, PSSSD. As they spoke, the ground below them surged with dark energy. All sorts of dark tentacles rose up from the ground like mountain peaks and madly rushed toward the Darkness Emperor and Ling Huang. Paltry tricks, sixth origin. You're looking down on us a bit too much. The Darkness Monarch sneered. He raised his hand, and demonic energy surged into the sky, transforming into a massive demonic blade that slashed downwards. Instantly, the ground collapsed, and the stars dimmed. The blade radiated brilliantly, and all the tentacles were instantly destroyed. But then, the ground below split open, and countless fell energy warriors rushed out, rushing toward the two powerhouses. Ha ha! A rabble that's like an ant dares to act rashly? This time, it was Ling Huang's turn. With a psionic finger, the heavens and earth shook. A beam of light swept across the battlefield, and the tens of thousands of fell warriors below turned into dust. The sixth origin's eyes narrowed, and a vicious expression appeared on its face. The power of the source mutation. He activated the power of the source mutation, wanting to fight the two powerhouses head-on. Meanwhile, at Thousand Blade Peak in the underworld, Yichun entered the 13th palace and saw Toxic Dragon battling the 7th origin. Neither side was willing to give way to the other, but when they saw Yichun, they both stopped fighting. After all, anyone who could make it this far was the strongest of the strongest. Poison Dragon King, do you still want to persist? Yichun asked. Oh, kid, you want to help this person? The Poison Dragon King asked with a cold smile, seemingly unperturbed by the current situation. My goal is to obtain the spiritual vein. Anyone who stops me from obtaining the spiritual vein is my enemy. Ha! Evil spirits wreak havoc in the world, harming the 6 realms. Kid, I see that you have nether divine power and have a deep relationship with the underworld. Why don't you work with me and get rid of this person? At this point, the 7th origin's expression changed. He had learned from the Poison Dragon King that Yichun had such a relationship with the underworld. In that case, would Yichun really help the Poison Dragon King against him? Yichun had just gone on a killing spree in the abyss of evil spirits and was unstoppable. Now, if he joined forces with the Poison Dragon King, even the 7th origin would find it difficult to resist. Thinking of this, the 7th origin frowned, and his heart trembled. He quickly looked at Yichun and said, don't listen to this person. Yichun, if you want to obtain the spirit vein, you must work with the source. You should know very well that this is only the 17th palace. The real test is in the 18th palace. Without the source's help, do you really think you can safely enter the 18th palace and obtain the spirit vein core? Hearing the Poison Dragon King and the 7th origin's choices, Yichun smiled slightly and held his chin. Right now, the entire situation seemed to be under his control. Whoever he helped would have a higher chance of winning. That's right, 7th origin. With this kind of power, I really don't know what kind of monster you'll face when you reach the 18th palace. Your suggestion is not bad. That's right. Let's kill the Poison Dragon King together, then charge into the 18th palace and seize the spirit vein. Yichun, the Poison Dragon King was enraged. The poison dragon king swung its tail, and poison splashed 10 meters high. The seventh origin waved its claws in response to such a large-scale poison attack. Instantly, the earth trembled and the weather changed. The dark energy drew upon the source's power, forming a dark energy mountain range that frantically blocked the poison. With such a counter, the poison dragon king's attack missed. Rushing ninth heaven thunderpalm, Yi Chen's palm shot out, and the power of lightning shot toward the poison dragon king. Yi Chen, you'll pay for your choice. I've said it before, no matter who stands in my way, they must die. Yi Chen's eyes shone with a murderous light. The vigorous power of lightning turned into destructive sword rays that shot toward the poison dragon king. At that moment, Thousand Edge Peak's array formation exploded. Countless stone swords fell off, forming a massive sword shape that shot downward. Boom, boom, boom. There was a shocking explosion. Yi Chen's rushing thunder palm instantly disappeared, unable to take another step forward. Yi Chen looked up at the sky and realized that they had entered Thousand Edge Peak's encirclement. They were surrounded by mountains, and within these mountains, there was a powerful and strange energy. This energy was filled with demonic energy, underworld energy, and even some unknown energy. The energy fluctuations seemed to be telling everyone that there was a hidden power within Thousand Edge Peak. Ha ha! You can't bear the wrath of Thousand Edge Peak. At that moment, the poison dragon king laughed loudly, as if the Jiahui he had been waiting for had arrived. Yi Chen and the seventh origin became vigilant at the same time. Thousand Edge Peak was very strange to begin with, and the various energies contained within it had come from. Both of them had wanted to investigate before, but before the strange energy of Thousand Edge Peak, all methods of investigation had been blocked. It would not be easy to get the real answer. No matter what kind of powerful energy it contains, I must obtain the underworld spirit vein today. Yi Chen took a step forward, and his powerful divine power swept out. He actually cleared a path in the Poison Dragon King's poison domain. Chapter 2309. In the Dark Spirit Abyss, the sixth origin battled Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor. Despite all of their schemes, they were still at a disadvantage. Sixth origin, where are the other origins? The Darkness Emperor asked coldly. Ha ha ha, no comment. The sixth origin roared with laughter, still fearless. If you don't tell me, I'll completely destroy the Dark Spirit Abyss so that the evil spirits won't be able to descend. You. Ling Huang pointed his hand at the center of the Dark Spirit Abyss, where the altar was. If it was destroyed, then the evil spirit's plan would be in vain. Under such circumstances, the sixth origin made up its mind and said, You still don't know, do you? What? Ling Huang asked. According to the seventh origin, Yi Chen is looking for the underworld spirit vein and is about to succeed. The underworld spirit vein? Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor were shocked. As old combatants of this level, they naturally knew about the legend of the spirit vein. According to the legend, whoever obtained the six realms spirit vein could rule the six realms and become the sole ruler. Therefore, this was a very important confidence for them. Naturally, they did not dare to be careless. The Darkness Emperor stepped forward and asked, So the seventh origin has gone to the underworld? That's right. If you want to rise, hurry to the underworld and get a piece of the pie. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor exchanged a glance. If they fought to the death with the sixth origin, although they could kill him, they would have to pay a terrible price. It was better to hurry to the underworld and find the core of the spirit vein to accomplish their great cause. Sixth origin, you betrayed your own brother. You're really something. Ha! Sixth origin, we'll take our leave now. With that, Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor flew up and disappeared without a trace. Execute the evil spirit's plan immediately. After Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor left, the sixth origin looked coldly at the combatants behind it and shouted angrily. Yes, the combatants were still shocked by the sixth origin's betrayal, but once they heard the order, they had to obey. This was what the evil spirits had engraved in their genes. After that, the sixth origin quickly returned to its palace and closed its eyes to rest, waiting to execute the spell. After leaving the abyss of evil spirits, Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor returned to their own territories. They led the powerhouses to make preparations and set off for the underworld together. At the entrance to the underworld, two majestic fleets descended. They were the armies of the Demon Martial Empire and the Primordial Immortal Empire. Inside the Netherworld, Patriarch Yellow Spring and the others received the news through the defensive formation. Old Ancestor Netherworld. It's the army of the Demon Martial Empire and the Primordial Immortal Empire. Why would they appear outside the Netherworld at the same time? Old Ancestor Netherworld asked in confusion. Looks like these two clans have really joined forces. This is bad. The Patriarch of Hell's brows twitched as his eyes focused. He was worried about Yichun. What should we do? An expert asked. Before the Arch left, he said that we must not act rashly. We must protect the last spiritual land of the Netherworld and cultivate the Buddha Emperor's mantra. Yes, now that Yichun had left, the Patriarch of Hell was the most powerful person here. Everyone obeyed his orders. In the distant sky, the rumbling sounds of explosions rang out continuously. It was Liang Dajuan who had activated the charging beam and destroyed the underworld's array formation. Boom! The two fleets entered the Netherworld in a grandiose manner and headed toward Thousand Blade Peak. Inside Thousand Blade Peak, on the 17th palace, the Poison Dragon King was confident. The surrounding Thousand Blade Peak was in a frenzy. Countless strange energies drifted toward them, causing Yichun and the Seventh Origin to sink into a tense atmosphere. Yichun looked coldly at Thousand Blade Peak. Countless dark energies drifted in the air. He could sense an extremely powerful mixed energy. Who was ruling over Thousand Blade Peak? The answer to this question was very complicated, but now he had to get past the Poison Dragon King. Seventh Origin, do it. Huh. Let's do it together. Kill. Yichun's eyes turned cold as he unleashed his sword force. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the blink of an eye, endless sword force swept across the entire area. The Poison Dragon King could not do anything as he was suppressed by Yichun. Using this opportunity, Yichun and the Seventh Origin arrived above the Poison Domain and looked down from above. Ninth Heaven Thunderpalm. Azura Heaven-Shaking Slash. Yichun unleashed another Palm Seal, all of which were life-taking abilities, and went straight for the Poison Dragon King. At the same time, the Seventh Origin unleashed its mutated power. Countless evil horns appeared all over its body and grew endlessly. These evil horns grew endlessly until they turned into sharp blades that stabbed toward the Poison Dragon King. Soon, they arrived in front of the Poison Dragon King. Kakik. The Poison Dragon King did not panic at all in the face of two great murderous intents. It must have something to rely on. Thousand Blade Peak, demonic energy. The Poison Dragon King opened its giant mouth and madly absorbed the strange energy flowing from Thousand Blade Peak. After absorbing this energy, its power increased 100-fold, and its strength could not be contained. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the entire gambling domain exploded again, causing all the surrounding energy to surge toward the core of the poison. Using the demonic energy, the Poison Dragon King launched a powerful counterattack. Poison Rush Go. The Poison Dragon King opened its giant mouth and madly spewed at the two people in the sky. Countless green poisonous lights bombarded the sky, the attack frequency increasing, making it impossible for the two people to dodge. How can this person's strength improve so much? The Seventh Origin asked in confusion. Yichun looked coldly at Thousand Blade Peak. The Poison Dragon King's great increase in strength was obviously related to Thousand Blade Peak, but what was the specific relationship? At this moment, there was no time to think too much. Yichun took out a divine artifact. It was the Immortal Drift Bottle. Pengu Immortal Drift Bottle. High up in the sky, Yichun held the Immortal Drift Bottle and released its power. Instantly, the endless poison was absorbed by the Immortal Drift Bottle. The boundless, ocean-like poison domain was completely absorbed by the immortal drift bottle without any resistance. What? The Poison Dragon King had painstakingly obtained the power of demonic energy and the support of Thousand Blade Peak. Now it was all for naught. How could he tolerate this? Poison Underworld Path. With a sudden cold shout, the Poison Dragon King activated the ultimate Venom Law. All the poison sacs in his body opened up like an endless poison gas generator, madly releasing poison gas into the surrounding environment. He swore to shatter the immortal drift bottle and crush Yi Chun and the Seventh Origin. It's just for me to make materials. Up in the sky, Yi Chun smiled coldly. He was not afraid at all. The immortal drift bottle was like an endless universe. No matter how much poison gas or poison there was, it would all be absorbed. The Poison Dragon King panted, his body exhausted, but it still had no effect. You. The Poison Dragon King spat out a mouthful of blood, unable to release poison gas again. Chapter 23:10. I didn't expect you to defeat the Poison Dragon King. Thank you for your help. Just as the Poison Dragon King was unable to get up, the Seventh Origin flew toward the 18th Palace, trying to snatch the Spirit Vein Core. Yi Chun did not rush to chase after it. Instead, he watched the 17th Palace from the sidelines. After the battle in the 17th Palace, Yi Chun realized that the most mysterious thing about the 18 Nether Temples was the strange energy in Thousand Blade Peak. It could easily raise the Poison Dragon King's power to such a level. If there really was a powerhouse in Thousand Blade Peak, it was not on the same level as the Poison Dragon King. At the back of the 17th Palace, the door opened. The strange energy was still spreading. The Seventh Origin rushed in, but saw nothing. There was no physical body. What's going on? He thought he could see the spirit vein, but he was wrong. Not only did he not see the spirit vein, but the way back had disappeared. Outside, Yi Chun saw that the Seventh Origin had stopped, not knowing what it was doing. Seeing that the Seventh Origin was frozen like a wooden chicken, Yi Chun realized that this was not normal. He might have fallen into some kind of mind control. At the same time, the Spirit Kings of the 14th, 15th, and 16th Palaces also arrived. Although they had been seriously injured by Yi Chun, they still had basic combat strength. You're all finished. The Ghost Bull King shouted at Yi Chun. The Seventh Origin had disappeared into the dark energy. At the same time, the entire space was shaking. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. But now, two magnificent warships appeared in the sky. It was the Darkness Emperor and Ling Wang. The two stood in front of their respective warships, looking down coldly at the powerhouses, as if they were judges high above. It's just as the Sixth Origin said. Yi Chun. The Darkness Emperor locked his cold eyes on Yi Chun and laughed. Yi Chun looked up at the sky. The matter of the spirit vein could not be concealed. The Seventh Origin must have notified the Sixth Origin, but he had been betrayed. The appearance of the Darkness Emperor and Ling Huang made the situation even more chaotic. Sensing the immortal and demonic energy, Yi Chun knew that they were from the demon martial world and the primordial immortal world. The demon martial world and the primordial immortal world had invaded the spirit realm many times. This time, these two were far stronger than the others. They were the masters of the two worlds. Yi Chun, do you recognize me? The Darkness Emperor asked. Oh, how disdainful. Do you really think that you're invincible just because you defeated Explosive Demon Monarch? I am the leader of the Devil Martial World. This time, the Netherworld Spirit Vein is mine. Demon Martial World. A disdainful smile appeared on Yi Chun's face. There were too many people who wanted the Spirit Vein. It did not matter if one more person from the Demon Martial World appeared. Ling Wang also locked onto Yi Chun at the same time. Several perfected masters had come to the spirit realm and were killed. He would also blame this on Yi Chun. Boom! Just as the experts were plotting against each other, a ripple appeared in the sky once again. Countless strange auras spread out, causing the entire space of the 18 nether halls to tremble. As for the Ghost Bull King and the others, they all had crazed smiles on their faces. It was as if the person they worshipped the most was about to appear. You're all going to die here. The hell of Avicii has revealed itself. You're all going to die. Devil breath, Chakravarti king, ha! Before the demonic breath, everything shall perish. The 14th, 15th, and 16th ghost kings bowed to welcome the Chakravarti king. High up in the sky, countless strange auras condensed into a huge figure. A huge will spun continuously behind it. Its entire body emanated boundless, ghostly energy. It was like a primordial giant looking down on all the combatants. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor were still not in the mood to target Yi Chun because they could feel the immense pressure coming from the sky. This pressure could completely affect their martial heart. This meant that the existence in the thousand-blade peak with the demonic breath was unfathomably powerful, even suppressing them. The Darkness Emperor and Ling Huang exchanged a glance and then revealed solemn expressions. Among the armies of the demon martial world and the primordial immortal world, many warriors were suppressed by the devil breath Chakravarti king's powerful psyche. They all revealed expressions of terror and even collapsed to the ground. The seventh origin that had entered the 18 palaces had disappeared without a trace. No one knew if it was dead or alive. The immense power of the wheel caused the warships of the demon martial world and the primordial immortal world to sink and fall. Rumble. Finally, the two warships fell from the sky. It was a grand scene. The Chakravarti king's eyes were also wheels, constantly spinning. Countless runes were spinning in them, constantly releasing strange auras. The great Tao of the wheel, kneel for eternity. The majestic voice descended forcefully, suppressing the auras of the powerhouses. Its might was unstoppable. The power of the entire thousand-blade peak enveloped the Chakravarti king's body, circulating, making his figure even more majestic, like a god. When the powerhouses saw this, they felt a little better about Yi Chun. The Chakravarti king was definitely too powerful. If they wanted to fight him, they would have to join forces. Ha ha ha, all of you die. The Poison Dragon King and the other Ghost Kings laughed maniacally. They could finally see the Chakravarti king avenge them. The countless peaks of the thousand-blade peak released their own power. This power was formed by the countless powerhouses who had died here. It was instilled into the wheels on the back of the Chakravarti king. The powerhouses felt as if they had fallen into the Avicii hell. Yi Chun stepped on the black tortoise, his body glowing with Buddhist light, resisting the energy of the wheel. However, this Buddhist light immediately attracted the attention of the Chakravarti king. 6 paths revolving die. The Chakravarti king threw several wheels at Yi Chun. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The dragon-taming spear came out to protect its master. The power of the heavenly path thunder swept across the wheels. Boom, boom, boom. The wheels shattered one after another, unable to resist the divine dragon-taming thunder. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor were watching the show. If Yi Chun died at the hands of the Chakravarti king, the latter would be able to exhaust the latter. Ling Huang, we have to form the formation immediately. This monster is too powerful. Understood. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor joined forces and began to form the formation. High up in the sky, Yi Chun looked at the Chakravarti king coldly. Countless ghostly energy surrounded the Chakravarti king. Then, the thousand-blade peak floated and turned into sharp mountain swords, aiming at Yi Chun. Thousand-blade array. The Chakravarti king roared. The thousand-blade peak turned into a sword array and flew out. Swish, swish, swish. The countless peaks were unstoppable, crushing toward Yi Chun. Dragon Fong Fist. 100 dragons split the sky. Yi Chun mobilized the dragon energy in his body and turned it into 100 dragon fist gleam, counterattacking. Boom, boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-blade array and the 100 dragon fist gleam crashed into each other. The sky was filled with chaos. It was impossible to see what was happening. Dust scattered. Yi Chun stood on the black tortoise, aiming the lightning spear at the Chakravarti king. Thunder Dragon Sovereign. 9 refinements divine spear. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Endless power of thunder and lightning gathered. At the same time, the heavenly furnace released its smelting power, increasing the energy density of the thunder and lightning by 100 times. Chapter 23:11. Yichun was actually able to stand up to the Chakravarti king. Such a feat shocked Ling Wang. The Darkness Emperor and the other combatants all wore solemn expressions. The current situation was complicated and difficult to predict. They could only adapt to the situation. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Above the 9 heavens, the Chakra King was surrounded by 9 divine thunders. With the support of the furnace of heaven and earth, even the Chakra King, who was as majestic as a mountain, was momentarily entangled. While he was catching his breath, Yichun scanned the area coldly, searching for the location of the spirit vein. This time, his only goal was the spirit vein. He would save everything else if he could. Therefore, Yichun was not determined to kill the Chakra King. Demon's Eye. Yichun activated the eye of the underworld deity's demon eye and searched for the location of the spirit vein through the power of the same origin. All sorts of information flowed into Yichun's mind. As expected, there were countless strange energies around the Chakra King, blocking Yichun's vision. He could not see where the spirit vein core was. Time was of the essence, and Yichun did not hesitate. He flew out and searched on his own. "Keep an eye on him," Ling Huang signaled, and the primordial immortal Chong Su from the primordial immortal world flew out and stared at Yichun. One of the devil martial world's devil generals received the sovereign emperor's order at the same time and executed a similar operation. Yichun did not care about the demon martial world and the primordial immortal world's pursuit at all. These small fries were nothing to him. The only thing he needed to pay attention to now was the demonic breath Chakravarti King. The 9 thunder gods were still fighting the Chakravarti King. This was Yichun's chance. Yichun continued to fly and passed through countless peaks. The ghostly energy in Thousand Blade Peak was getting thicker, and the powerful energy of the Chakravarti King seeped out. This energy had even sensed Yichun's presence and began to take form. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Their auras condensed and took form as they went after Yichun. Kill, kill, kill. All kinds of murderous sounds could be heard everywhere, and the ghostly aura was dense. Immortal slaying flying saber. Yes, master. The immortal slaying flying saber rushed out of the ancient god space and charged into the group of little ghosts that had taken form, killing them in a frenzy. Meanwhile, more and more imps were taking form in front of him. Moreover, these imps were clearly more powerful than the previous ones. However, Yichun was overjoyed. This meant that he was heading in the right direction. He was heading toward the energy core. Roar! As expected, a very powerful great demon had appeared up ahead. The aura of these demonic humans was clearly 1 order of magnitude stronger compared to the imps they encountered earlier. Clearly, they possessed the strength of heavenly immortals. Kill, kill, kill. These great demons' killing intent grew stronger. They unleashed their mystical abilities and secret techniques to target Yichun. Everything in front of him was overwhelming. Netherworld energy, ghostly energy, and demonic energy surged into the sky, limitless. Heavenly Dharch sword, heaven and earth standing. In front of his goal, no one could stop him. This was the dignity and confidence of a celestial emperor. The celestial Dharch sword was unsheathed, and the entire path ahead was slashed open. Even though a group of great demons appeared, they were still unable to resist the slash of the celestial Dharch sword. Boom! A powerful sword might filled the 9 heavens, and a pillar of light shot out in all directions. All the great devils were sent flying. In front of the absolute power of the heavenly sword, even if they had the strength of heaven immortals, they would still be defeated. Like a meteor, Yichun flew past in a dazzling manner, heading straight for the energy core. Z, Z, Z. The demonic ray swept across a radius of 1,000 miles, instantly triggering boundless energy reflection, allowing Yichun to locate the final energy core. It was under an abyss of the demon breath Thousand Blade Peak. Descend, Yichun stomped hard, and the land within a radius of 100 miles collapsed. His figure followed the collapse and fell into the abyss. The primordial immortal world and devil martial world combatants following Yi Chun could not keep up with his pace. They only saw him falling into the abyss and sent messages to Ling Wang and the Darkness Emperor. The two of them received the message and flew toward Yi Chun's direction, leaving behind 2 warships to cooperate with the 9 Thunder Gods to stop the Demon Breath Chakra King's majestic figure. Z. On the warships, demonic energy and immortal energy blasts were constantly fired, trying to delay the Chakra King as much as possible so that he could not stop the others from finding the Spirit Vein core. Below, the Ghost Bull King, the Poison Dragon King, and the other combatants attacked. Kill! The armies of the primordial immortal world and devil martial world also rushed toward them and fought. The abyss ahead was greatly stimulated by the demonic eye. The Spirit Vein core emitted heaven-reaching dark energy that shot up to the sky. Yi Chun was going to face this powerful blasts and go down. One could imagine the difficulty that he had to overcome. Dragon Fong Fist, 1,000 dragons shaking the mountains. Roar! Yi Chun unleashed the second form of the Dragon Fong Fist, the might of 1,000 dragons. He forcefully suppressed the blast from the Spirit Vein core and continued to descend. Above the abyss, Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor had already arrived. However, affected by the powerful blasts, they could not keep up with Yi Chun immediately. "We can't go on like this," Ling Huang said. "What do you mean?" the Emperor asked. Ling Huang looked down coldly and said, "We can't catch up to Yi Chun even if we keep going like this. We can only use our strength to break the blasts in front of us." That makes sense. The two of them began to use their own methods. Waves of demonic energy and immortal energy turned into light balls at the same time, gathered together, and rushed toward the abyss below. Rumble. The two of them joined forces, and their power shook the sky. They instantly broke the Spirit Vein's blasts and helped them descend rapidly. Below the abyss, the Spirit Vein continued to attack. Endless energy exploded like a torrential river, unstoppable. Sky-shaking step. Of course, Yi Chun sensed the arrival of the two of them. Power rose under his feet again. With the sky-shaking step, the power of space twisted rapidly, increasing Yi Chun's speed. This kid can still speed up. The Darkness Emperor was shocked. "Let's do it together." "All right." The two of them increased their power again to keep up with Yi Chun's speed. Outside, the shadow of the demonic aura, Chakravarti, sensed the three of them entering the abyss of Thousand Blade Peak and was instantly enraged. Demonic will heavenly crusade. With a roar, the demonic wheels of heaven and earth rose one after another, turning into endless destructive wheels that rampaged in all directions like the wrath of a god or the spread of a demon's wings. Boom, boom, boom. The surrounding space exploded rapidly. Yi Chun's 9 bolts of Thunder God power were instantly destroyed. At the same time, the Heavenly Crusade demonic wheel continued to destroy. The primordial immortal world and the demon martial world's armies were instantly destroyed, their warships destroyed. Blood flowed like a river, and corpses piled up like a mountain. The Chakravarti king turned to look at the abyss of Thousand Blade Peak and grabbed the ground with his hand. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The majestic power poured into the earth vein and connected to the core of the Spirit Vein. In the abyss, the Spirit Vein was just about to reach the Chakravarti king's power. Endless wheels rushed out of the Spirit Vein and attacked Yi Chun and the other two indiscriminately. Dragon Energy Shield. Yi Chun released the Dragon Energy Shield to resist the wheel's power. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor moved at the same time, releasing their divine and demonic abilities. However, the wheel's power continued, and its power gradually increased. The three of them were under pressure at the same time. Chapter 23:12. The ghostly energy that constantly seeped out from the Spirit Vein turned into a powerful energy wave that continued to oppress Yi Chun and the others, forcing them to slow down. However, this process did not last long. Yi Chun waved the dragon-taming spear and swept across 3,000 miles. The 9 heavenly Tao thunder completely shattered the obstacles. Emperor Darkness and Ling Wang, who were behind them, were basking in Yi Chen's glory. That was why they could successfully enter the earth vein. At this time, Yi Chen could not care less. He wanted to find his spirit vein. Demon Eye awakens. Yi Chen continued to release the power of the demon eye and found the spirit vein's core as quickly as possible, because he could clearly sense that the Chakra King was already on his way. Hiss. Under the illumination of the demon eye, the spirit vein's core finally appeared in Yi Chen's mind. However, Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness did not see it. They only saw that Yi Chen seemed to be surveying, but only Yi Chen knew the result. Yi Chen had the initiative. The other two could only stare at Yi Chen's movements, hoping that he would act quickly so that they could find the spirit vein's core. However, Yi Chen did not move. He would not let these two reap the benefits without doing anything. Since he had found the spirit vein's core, he could act at any time. Yi Chen, have you found the spirit vein's core? Once the Chakra King enters this place, we'll be in trouble. Emperor Darkness said with a smile, trying to pressure Yi Chen to act quickly. Ling Wang, who was behind them, had the same idea. Yi Chen smirked when he saw how anxious the two were. Why are you so anxious? Yi Chen asked. We're just worried for you. The Chakra King's attention is mainly on you now. What do you think will happen to you after he arrives? You don't have to worry about me. If you want to find a spirit vein's core, then let's do it together. I haven't found its exact location yet. The two looked at each other. They knew that as time went on, things would become more and more troublesome. If they did not act now, when would they act? All right, let's find it together. The two knew that if they did not act, Yi Chen would not act on his own. They could only cooperate with Yi Chen. The three of them worked together. After searching for less than 15 minutes, the ground rumbled and the earth veins exploded. Countless ghostly auras surged in. It was the sign of the arrival of the Chakra King. Having sensed the signs of the Chakra King's arrival in advance, Yi Chen had long hidden himself in a secret place. Ling Huang and the Darkness Emperor did not notice. When the Chakra King arrived, he saw the two of them rummaging through the spiritual vein core. All of you die. The Chakravarti King was infuriated. Die! He waved his long arms and released countless chakras, chasing after the duo. The chakram speed was extremely fast, and its energy coefficient was extremely high. Even a heavenly immortal would be severely injured by this kind of attack. Both of them dodged and searched for Yi Chen's figure. However, all they saw was emptiness. There was no sign of Yi Chen at all. What happened? Where's Yi Chen? Ling Wang asked. I didn't notice. Weren't you searching for the core of the spiritual vein with us just now? Emperor Darkness' face twisted as he spoke. Both of them frowned, knowing that they had been tricked. Yi Chen had long hidden himself, exposing them to the Chakra King. In that case, Yi Chen's sensing ability was above theirs. He had long known about the Chakra King's arrival. This be *starred, sneaking away by himself. Now, only by defeating the Chakra King will we have a chance to continue searching for the core of the spiritual vein. At this point, both of them had no choice but to fight to the death with the Chakra King. After all, they were confident in their own strength. If they joined forces, they would definitely defeat the Chakra King. Ling Wang flew forward and threw out countless spirit talismans. These spirit talismans were imbued with the primordial world's powerful laws. Once they were stained with them, they would be controlled by Ling Wang. It was the puppet technique. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. These spirit talismans rushed toward the Chakra King's majestic figure and stuck to his body. Supreme Dermic Edict, heed my command, Edict. Ling Wang pinched a talisman with his index and middle fingers and released his power to burn the talisman. The laws contained in the talisman cracked and turned into energy, drifting toward the Chakra King. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These energies quickly merged with the spirit talismans on the Chakra King's body. The Chakra King suddenly felt that he could not move his body and was dumbfounded. Ha ha ha. Ling Wang laughed. He had thought that it would take a lot of effort to deal with the Chakra King, but he did not expect that a single supreme spirit talisman would be enough. Seeing that the Chakra King was as still as a bronze statue, Emperor Darkness' heart trembled. He thought that if he was stained with this talisman, would he not be at the mercy of others? Therefore, Emperor Darkness was very wary of Ling Huang. Ling Huang naturally noticed this, but this was a manifestation of his deterrent power. Instead, he was very proud. "Oof, a mere chakra king wants to be my enemy? You're overestimating yourself, Emperor Darkness. Let's quickly find the core of the spiritual vein." All right, the two of them split up and searched for the source of the spiritual vein's energy. Meanwhile, Yi Chun, who was hiding on the rock wall, smirked slightly. Although the Chakra King's apparition was controlled by the spirit talisman, his real body was the most terrifying. He had not revealed himself all this time, which was also the variable that Yi Chun was most afraid of. Therefore, he was not in a hurry to act. The best time to act was to let Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness help him force the Chakra King's real body out. Rumble. Just as Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness moved, the Chakra King's body automatically disintegrated and turned into dust. Xuanchang's expression turned serious. This was clearly not normal. This meant that a variable was about to occur. The entire ground of Thousand Blade Peak trembled. Subsequently, Thousand Blade Peak collapsed one after another. Endless rocks flew and collided. It could be said that the sky and earth were turned upside down. Such a massive energy fluctuation made Xuanchang not dare to carry it. They released their own energy shields to protect themselves. At this moment, in the central area where the rocks were flying, an extremely powerful, ghostly energy erupted. The Chakra King's real body had appeared. "You've only destroyed one of my clones, and you think you've defeated me? What a joke." Countless wheels were spinning in the Chakra King's eyes. He shot a ghostly light in front of him that contained countless miniature wheels. Once hit by this ghostly light, these miniature wheels would enter the cultivator's meridians, causing their energy to flow in reverse. Their meridians would be broken and they would die. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Wherever the ghostly light passed, not even a blade of grass would grow. Only then did Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness understand the true power of the Chakra King. I didn't expect the underworld to have such a powerful person. This shows the importance of the spiritual vein. Emperor, we can't fail this time. Of course. Chapter 23:13. Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness were not afraid of the Chakra King's true form at all, displaying the demeanor of a king. However, the Chakra King's cold eyes revealed only murderous intent in the face of the Chakra King. There was no other emotion. It was this pure murderous intent that made the Chakra King's battle extremely simple and effective. Unbounded Chakra Formation. The Chakra King did not hesitate and immediately used his ultimate technique. Countless chakras rushed out of the spirit vein and hovered in midair. They aimed at Xuanchang from below and above his head. Kill! With a sudden roar, the Chakra King leaned his arms forward and thousands of chakras attacked at the same time, sweeping across the area. In front of him, everything in the path of the chakra exploded. Nothing could stop the crushing of the chakra. Moreover, the Chakra King was still absorbing energy from the spiritual meridian to stimulate the power of the chakra. Even Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness were temporarily suppressed. I didn't expect this monster to be so powerful. I've underestimated him. Ling Huang had to admit that the Chakra King's strength was beyond his expectations. Otherwise, he would not have been so confident. Emperor Darkness was equally shocked. There were thousands of chakras before him, and each chakra had the power to injure a heavenly immortal. Even though their strength was far above a heavenly immortal, they were helpless against so many attacks at the same time. At this moment, Yi Chun, who was in the secret space, had been observing the changes in the Chakra King's aura. It was similar to the location he had determined with the demon's eye. It was obvious that the Chakra King was absorbing energy near the spirit vein's core. Demonic Chakra Reincarnation. A majestic shadow of a chakra appeared behind the Chakra King. The power of the unbounded chakra formation continued to increase, and Xuanchang was in danger. Don't panic. We have to wait a little longer. Although Yi Chun had confirmed the location of the spirit vein's core, he was still very calm. The Chakra King still had a lot of energy left in the battle. If he made a move under such circumstances, he would definitely suffer a fierce counterattack from the Chakra King. Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness might even take advantage of him. He would not do such a thing. In the center of the battlefield, the Chakra King's power continued to increase. Ling Huang and Emperor Darkness looked at each other. They knew that the Chakra King had the home advantage. If they continued to be suppressed by him, the consequences would be unpredictable. The only thing they could do was fight back. Emperor, Moon in Gulf form. Monarch Darkness flew up. The entire sky changed color, and heaven and earth were shaken. The moon, swallowing demonic ability, descended. Mountains and rivers collapsed, and the sun and moon sank. Boom! The massive demonic aura instantly countered the Great Wheel formation. At the same time, Ling Huang made his move. Supreme Spiritual Talisman. Visit from all directions. ZZZ. Countless talismans floated in the air. Following that, the silhouettes of deities were summoned, and they all unleashed their abilities to resist the revolving wheel martial skill formation. The Revolution Wheel King was actually suppressed by these two moves. This enraged the Revolution Wheel King, and the 18 true Lord ranks exploded. With a long howl, the Chakravarti King continued to absorb the power of the spiritual vein. At the same time, his body had reached its limit. This was a sign of the final battle. Ling Huang and the Emperor of Darkness looked serious at the same time. They naturally knew that once the Chakra King unleashed his powers, it would be the most terrifying destructive force. Monarch, apocalyptic demonic flame. A sovereign emperor pushed his demonic energy to the limits, unleashing a might that could destroy the world without holding back. Ling Huang, supreme demon sealing order. At the same time, Ling Huang released the divine weapon, the supreme token, which floated in the air. The surrounding talismans were strengthened by the supreme token, increasing their power by 10 times. Limitless Wheel, 6 paths of destruction. The Chakra King activated the most powerful power of the spiritual vein, and all the wheels merged into the limitless wheel. This was the ultimate battle. The two fought to the death. The sun and moon didn't exist anymore. As the Chakra King used his most powerful ability, the core of the spiritual vein appeared, and Yichun locked onto it. Space-time wrath. With a roar, the sky's snake-black tortoise opened the tunnel and swallowed the core. What? The Chakra King turned around and looked at Yichun in shock. The core of the spiritual vein was swallowed by the sky, snake-black tortoise. In the blink of an eye, Yichun was still 100 miles away. Boom, boom, boom. At the center of the battle, the limitless wheel continued to be destroyed. The Grand Supreme Demon Sealing Array shattered, and the Emperor of Darkness demonic flames disappeared. Xuanchang's body was sent flying while the body of the Chakra King continued to crumble. He knelt on one knee. I want you to die. The Chakra King was enraged and activated the last of the spiritual vein's power. Seeing this, Xuanchang didn't dare to fight back. He used his most powerful movement ability and escaped from Thousand Blade Peak. Buzz! Buzz! In the abyss of Thousand Blade Peak, a beam of light shot into the sky. The entire Thousand Blade Peak mountain range cracked because the core of the spiritual vein was taken away. The heavily injured Ling Huang and the Emperor of Darkness flew far away and returned to the sky above the Thousand Blade Peak. They were greeted by hundreds of defeated soldiers. The battleship had been destroyed, and the army had been destroyed for a long time. The two of them were extremely depressed. Yichun, who had obtained the core of the spiritual vein, released space-time ability many times and arrived at a safe location. I've obtained one of the 6 spiritual veins. Yichun stretched out his hand. The sky snake spat out the core of the spiritual vein. It was like a dark ball of light, constantly emitting dark light. It was very mysterious. Next is the spirit realm. After finding the direction, Yichun rode the black tortoise to break through the barrier and entered within 3 kilometers of the netherworld. Then, he rushed straight into the spirit realm. The land of the spirit realm had been contaminated by evil spirits. There was evil energy everywhere. Many people had even been transformed by evil energy into evil spirit warriors. It was a tragic sight. It was a little troublesome to find the core of the spirit realm in such a place. Fortunately, Yi Chun had cultivated evil energy spells through the ancient god space. Now that he had achieved some success, such an illusion would not cause him any harm. It could even promote the progress of his evil spirit spells. Yi Chun recalled his experience in the spirit realm and thought of a place, the true spirit palace. As the most powerful holy land in the spirit realm at that time, the true spirit palace was the existence that controlled the entire spirit realm. It must be located in the place with the most abundant spiritual energy. However, because the true spirit lord had died, the entire true spirit palace had collapsed and disappeared without a trace. Today, Heavenly Emperor Yi Chun had set foot on this place again to find the core of the spirit realm. Heavenly Rule. Yi Chun activated mystic immortal laws and activated heavenly Tao power. It filled the entire space and instantly suppressed all the evil energy around the true spirit palace, so that his movements would not be discovered by the evil energy. Walking into the ruins of the true spirit palace, there were broken walls and even piles of corpses. It was obvious that the evil spirits had massacred this place. 8 Gates Divine Disc. Yi Chun tossed out judgment. The mirror of darkness within it continued to emit light and scan the surroundings. All kinds of information kept returning to judgment and reflected a diagram of the true spirit palace in midair. Chapter 23:14. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. As the strange light appeared in the sky, another scene appeared above the true spirit palace ruins. It was the true structure of the true spirit palace. Countless spiritual lights floated in this structure. These lights seemed to be telling Yi Chun the true story of this ancient spiritual land. The spiritual light that filled the sky dazzled Yi Chun. However, when he activated his ocular technique, Yi Chun saw the source of all the spiritual light at a glance. The vast spiritual power made Yi Chun feel as if it was the origin of the entire spirit realm. The core of the spiritual realm. Here I come. Yi Chun chuckled. He put away the god's disc and rushed toward the place where the spiritual power gathered. Above the ruins, Yi Chun moved as fast as lightning. He arrived before a vast ocean. This ocean was the true spirit sea. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Loud thunderclaps came from the surface of the sea from time to time. Thunderclouds appeared on the surface of the sea. Purple lightning flashed, and torrential rain poured down as if welcoming Yi Chun's arrival. However, this welcoming method surprised Yi Chun. Thunder Dragon, this is your ingredient. Of course. The dragon restraining spear flew into the sky and the thunder dragon appeared. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Above the sky, purple lightning constantly struck the thunder dragon. However, not only did this power not cause any harm to the thunder dragon, but it even increased his strength rapidly. Come, thunder of the ninth heaven, let me enjoy it to my heart's content. The thunder dragon absorbed the endless power of the divine lightning, and his cultivation base increased at the same time. Below, Yi Chun rode the heavenly emperor's sword and flew up. He looked down at the sea from midair. Huge waves kept rolling on the surface of the sea as if there was a force stirring the wind and clouds. This excited Yi Chun as if he could see the spirit vein. Swimming dragon sword. Roar. Accompanied by the sound of dragon, the swimming dragon sword flew into Yi Chun's hand. Subsequently, he threw it toward the sea below. Rumble. The swimming dragon sword was like a pillar that stabilized the sea. It constantly evolved and became incomparably vast, like a pillar that held up the sky. The torrents of the sea kept crashing and spinning around the swimming dragon sword, but could not affect it at all. Then, the swimming dragon sword unleashed the power of a heavenly weapon and opened a path to the bottom of the sea for Yi Chun. Go! Yi Chun controlled the heavenly emperor's sword and went deep into the sea through the tunnel created by the swimming dragon sword. The torrential seawater was unable to approach the space tunnel created by the swimming dragon swords. Yi Chun felt as if he was walking on flat ground. Chen quickly entered the deep sea. He could feel the spiritual power around him flourishing even more. This was definitely the place with the most spiritual power since he came to the spirit realm. Buddha's eye illuminates the world. Chen activated the Buddha Emperor's eye and instantly saw through the boundless world beneath the sea. Countless information surged into Chen's head. So the oldest true spirit palace is here. Chen suddenly opened his eyes. His face was filled with excitement. He had never thought that the true spirit hall was not the one built by the true spirit lord. Instead, it was hidden under the sea in the deepest trench. This was the true primordial true spirit hall. Overturn seas and rivers. Chen's palms revolved. The ancient god power was like a primordial beast, cleaving a new path with a swimming dragon sword. Along the way, Chen saw various creatures swimming past him. When they saw Chen, they also looked at him with surprise. However, these creatures did not mean him any harm. These little guys were nowhere to be seen on the mainland. If not for the fact that he had something important to do, Chen would have stayed and carefully observed the underwater world. However, the deeper one went into the sea, the greater the pressure. At a depth of 20,000 meters, even a heavenly immortal would not be able to withstand it. However, as a human cultivator at the mystic immortal stage, Chen was able to do it with ease. On one hand, it was because he had divine weapons, and on the other hand, it was because his foundation was strong enough. As he continued to move deeper into the sea, Chen sensed a powerful spiritual light shining toward him. In such a dark space, such a spiritual light was an extremely abnormal phenomenon. It could only be a spirit vein. Just as Chen gradually approached the spirit vein, suddenly, a wave of darkness shrouded the sky and earth. Chen seemed to be wrapped in darkness and could not see clearly what was in front of him. At the same time, many spirit beasts in the deep sea fled, clearly sensing the impending danger. Chen's eyes turned slightly cold. He looked ahead with his spirit eye and saw an undersea creature the size of a mountain staring at him. This creature had a huge head and a pair of scarlet eyes like two bloody moons. To be able to move freely and survive in such a deep place, it was obvious that this fellow was extremely powerful. Moreover, it was unknown how long it had been absorbing the core energy of the spirit realm. It was difficult to estimate how high its current cultivation base was. Roar! The gigantic creature roared angrily at Chen. Chen sent out a palm strike with a tremendous burst of energy, emitting sparks from the bottom of the sea. Chen saw that the creature was actually something like a whale, but its mouth was full of sharp teeth, and there was pus seeping out of its throat. Chen immediately felt a great threat. This pus was definitely a highly toxic substance, and might even be extremely corrosive. Dragon Energy Shield. Chen's entire body was enveloped in the Dragon Energy Shield to resist the thick venom before him. At the same time, he flew up and released the immortal slaying flying saber. Swish, swish, swish. Countless rays of light cut through everything. The scales of the demonic whale below were cut wildly, blood flowing out. It suddenly became even more brutal. Roar! It roared continuously. Above the demonic whale's head, hundreds of tentacles appeared like an octopus. These tentacles stirred the seawater wildly, entangling the countless saber gleams, preventing the saber gleams from hurting the demonic whale. How dare you be so presumptuous before this emperor? Facing such a demon, Chen's eyes widened and he unleashed the heavenly dragon roar. The explosion split the water 3,000 feet long, and the explosive force split 10,000 miles. The demonic whale felt the extremely powerful impact. Its 10,000-ton body was also pushed back by Chen. The scales on its body cracked, and it was in unbearable pain. Ignorant junior, how dare you harm me like this? The demonic whale, before Chen could speak human language. As expected, it was a demon with a profound cultivation base. Absorbing the energy around the true spirit palace under the sea allowed you to cultivate to this state. It seems like the spirit vein core is even more magical. Hearing Chen's words, The demonic whale trembled slightly and said, "You want to enter the true spirit palace? How about it?" Impossible, you little brat." Oh, Yichen saw the disdain on the demonic whale's face. It seemed like it did not believe that Yi-chun could enter the true spirit palace. However, from the way Yi-chun stopped attacking, the demonic whale was the one who really wanted to enter the true spirit palace. It had even spent a lot of time doing this, but it had failed